Hello and welcome, viewers, to the immediately outdated Edge of Eternities tier list. We're doing all of the rares and mythics here. We are not doing any commons or uncommons, which means that, yes, we are going to miss at least one card that is going to break every competitive format you could possibly know. With me here today, I have Sam from the Draft Bunks, my good friend. Say hello, Sam.
Hello. I just want it to be known that I campaigned for commander cards to be the lowest possible tier. So all of you commander players, you've got Michael to thank for it being higher than that.
That's true. I have recently come around to the idea that commander can in fact be fun, and a card being fun deserves to be recognized as more valuable than a card being unplayably bad, because at least fun cards will make people buy booster packs.
Yeah, less memey though. All right, I'm excited. Let's do this.
All right. So our tiers today are going to be... We have tier number 1. Top tier is Design Mistake. This is cards that are playable in any format bigger than Standard. And now what I mean here is, if we are designing a set and we have any number of cards that are making reasonable plays in, like, Modern, something's gone terribly, terribly wrong. Sam, do you agree with me?
No, not in the slightest. Ketramose is totally fine in Standard, very playable in Modern. But look, I don't think you and I are ever going to agree on evaluation of things that see play in bigger than Standard.
Absolutely not. Are we going to agree, however, on our second tier being competitive player? So this is Standard competitive. We're going to be arguing about cards that might see play in Pioneer going here or in Design Mistake. What do you think of that?
Yeah, no, I like that. Yeah, things that are likely to be a staple of Standard or might touch some other formats. Things that we're gonna be seeing a lot of over the next few years.
Cool. Our middle tier, rather than having some boring name like mid, I call it, I want to live in the world where this tier is competitive. These are cards where I wish that this was Standard staples and we never made any design mistakes and printed anything that ended up here. What about you, Sam? Does that sound fun or boring?
I really like this tier. I've done a pass through the set, and about half the cards are landing in here for me. Because I'm like, this looks so much fun, but I don't know if we're going to get there. So, love this tier.
The tier below that for me, these are the cards that are just happy to be here. Also, I have listed this as commander cards. So these are cards that they do a thing, and that thing might not be competitively viable. And when I say might not, I'm being quite generous here. I think Sam's going to have some very mean things to say about these cards, because Sam, when was the last time you played a commander game?
That's a little bit like asking when was the last time I divided by 0.
It can't be done. It can't be done. Yeah.
But no, look, I like the category. There's a bunch of like fun cards in this set that are like not designed for competitive 60 card formats, but I know the commander players are gonna lose themselves over. So yeah, I like that we've got this one.
Yeah. And then finally, down the bottom, we have actively makes your deck worse. This is the tier that Sam wanted to call design mistakes, as in it benefits nobody for a card to be, for a rare or a mythic to be like worse than an uncommon, like so bad that I'm not even gonna pick it in draft.
There's a bunch of cards in this set that if you just took the card out of your deck and put a relevant basic land in some cases an irrelevant basic land in, it would be an improvement for your deck.
Yeah, these are your A Realm Reborns. They go down here. Mm-hmm. And that's probably going to be my touchstone for cards that actively make your deck worse for a long time.
There's a few that come to mind in this set in particular that we've already exchanged a few words on, so this will be good.
Mm-hmm. All right. Starting at the top, Sam really wanted this to be in alphabetical order, which is why most of the cards are in alphabetical order down here. But unfortunately, Earthenview betrayed me. And we are instead going to be starting with Antausal Vestage.
Love this. So I think this card is really cool. Oh, do we want to read the cards out?
Yeah, so Antausal Vestige, 6 mana, generic. Eldrazi is a 7/5 with, when this creature leaves the battlefield, draw a card, and then you may put a permanent card with mana value less than or equal to the number of lands you control from your hand onto the battlefield tapped. Warp 4. All right. Sam, opinions?
I love the vibe of the card. An Antausal Vestige. This is sick. I don't know what we're doing with this in Constructed. It's
Absolutely.
really difficult to cheat in any way with it, and trying to play it quote unquote fair at 4 or 6 mana sounds like you're just like spending mana so you can avoid spending mana and having to have cards in your hand. I think it's really cool. I don't quite see what we're doing with it. So this is probably I want to live in the world, for me at least.
Yeah, I would honestly have put this in just happy to be here, except that it does, at the very least, it draws you a card before it goes off, and that puts it into middle tier for me.
True. Yeah, like I kind of like the idea of warping it and then ephemerating it or something like that, but it's just like assembling a lot of pieces so that you could just cast something else instead. So,
yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. Card number 2 is Tezzeret, Cruel Captain. 3 mana, generic for a legendary Tezzeret Planeswalker. 4 starting loyalty, and whenever an artifact you control enters, put a loyalty counter on him. Notably, other than that, no plus effect. Now he has 0, untap an artifact or creature. If it's an artifact creature, put a +1/+1 counter on it. I view this one as a bit of a mana ramping effect. You're going to be using this on your manaliths and other generating creatures. -3, search your library for an artifact card with mana value 1 or less, reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle. Excellent for going and get your Urza's Saga. And -7, you get an emblem with, at the beginning of combat on your turn, put 3 +1/+1 counters on target artifact you control. If it's not a creature, it becomes a 0/0 robot artifact creature. Sam, are any of these abilities in any way playable?
Yes. I think this is one of the most powerful cards in this set. I don't know if it'll get there in standard, like maybe in the blue-white artifacts deck. This could find a home. But in older formats, and particularly the older you get, this is going to be crazy. There's already people talking about pre-restricting it in Vintage.
Yeah.
But evaluation for Vintage, not super important. But that -3 ability has me really interested. We've already seen from Urza Saga that being able to go get things with mana value 1 or less is really powerful, and this will just go in any Urza Saga deck. So whether it's being used as a toolbox thing, a little bit like how Urza Saga is, or if it's being used as another way to go tutor for your key 1 mana build around, something like Amulet of Vigor.
Yep.
Yeah, so I don't quite know how or where it's going to slot in, but this is really powerful. And artifact decks are just very powerful the further we go back. So yeah. I'm very hyped about this one.
Yeah, I actually, I know that up the top of the video, I said that stuff that makes waves in older formats immediately from it goes in design mistake. I actually think because this is very much like going to be a safe card in standard, I don't think this is eating a standard ban in any universe. It's very much going to be powerful in those older formats because of past design mistakes in those older formats. I'm happy to put it in competitive player.
Yeah. Tezzeret going to search for Black Lotus. Tezzeret is not the problematic card in that.
Yes, absolutely.
The biggest design mistake with this card is that it's Tezzeret and not Khan.
Yes. Oh, look, I know Tezzeret. I know you care deeply about like the lore implications of Tezzeret being a deeply blue-black planeswalker, but I think colorless Tezzeret goes incredibly hard.
Next.
Asteli Reclaimer. So this is a 3 and 2 white for a 5/4 flying angel. When it enters, return target non-creature non-land permanent card with mana value X or less from your graveyard to the battlefield, where X is the amount of mana spent to cast this creature. Warp for 3. Now, my immediate thoughts on this card are effects like this are good when you can build around them, and you can build around something when it has a defined like mana value that it hits. You know, your United Battlefront, your Collected Company type effects, they hit a certain mana value. I think this hitting 2 different mana values makes it actively worse.
Oh, interesting. I'm going to tell you the first thing that comes to mind when I see this card, and I'm curious as to your thoughts. My first thought is Eyeball.
I mean, it can't get Eyeball back itself, for starters.
It can. Eyeball is a 3-drop.
It says non-creature on the card, Samuel.
It says non-creature, Michael. You can't get back eyeball. What are you talking about?
I will not be gaslit on my own show.
What are you talking about? It's not. You can't get back a Binoculus with this. Listen to this guy thinking that this card is great because it can get back a Binoculus.
Oh my god. We're 3 cards in.
Yeah. I'd love to be able to claim this because I read them in alphabetical order. Okay, I'm way less high on this then. I'm not quite sure what we're doing here.
Yeah, this is, for me, this is at best, this is just happy to be here.
I think so, yeah. Damn, I was really excited about this, but...
Yeah, I've ruined it for you.
Damn.
I'm so happy to have done that for you.
Can't bring back Eyeball, can't bring back Omniscience. What the hell is the point of this?
I know. Let's see if the next one is any better. Beyond the Quiet. 3 and 2 white mana, sorcery, exile all creatures in spacecraft. All right, Sam. How's this in the world of white control? You're the dirtiest player between the two of us.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts when you look at this card?
Yeah, so there's a couple of really interesting implications of this one versus Ultima, which destroys all creatures and artifacts.
Yes.
So the big card that's the real issue here is, I'm sorry, I can't remember the name of it, but it's the new 3-mana temporary lockdown that's an artifact.
Yes. We will talk about it later. Probably fairly soon.
Yeah, so if the control decks want to run artifact temporary lockdown, then they're not going to run Ultima because they don't want to blow up their own prison thing.
Yes.
So Beyond the Quiet starts to look a lot better. However, if the Wrath deck wants to blow up the opposing temporary lockdowns for whatever reason, then they are going to want Ultima. So there's that tension, and there are just some formats where exile is really important.
Absolutely.
The old Amonkhet format with Hazoret and the Scarab God really comes to mind. So if we're in a format with lots of, just lots of indestructible things, Death Triggers not so much because Ultima deals with that anyway. But I like having this around. I think the balance between the two of them will probably shift over the course of the format depending on what's seeing play. But yeah, an exile everything Wrath is good. I doubt the spacecraft thing is going to matter very much.
Do you think it's going to matter? Or do you think that there are going to be any especially powerful vehicles that it's important that this misses? You know, this doesn't take Parhelion 2 off the board, very importantly.
Yeah.
He's gone. Sam!
Hello!
Hello, Sam!
I'm still here.
Yes.
This is a you problem.
There's a me problem.
Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you just fine.
Cool. Are there any vehicles in Standard that are seeing play?
I don't think so, no.
Yeah, and the 5-mana Wrath isn't going to cut it in older formats. There's a couple of spacecraft that might make the cut. We'll talk about those as we get to it, but yeah, I think there's an interesting balance between this and Ultima, and this will see some play.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm happy putting this in competitive player.
Yep, sounds good.
All right, Cosmic Grand Zenith. We get to our first human white weenie card. 2 and a white for a 2/4. Whenever you cast your second spell each turn, choose one, make 2 1/1 white human soldier creature tokens, or put a +1/+1 counter on everything you control. Now, I can't remember what the lifelinker that doubled itself when you cast it off Flurry was, but that doesn't see any standard play. Is this going to be any better than that?
I think the really interesting comparison here, and I'm ready to eat my words on this, but I think if you compare this with Corey Steelcutter, you're going to get a similar comparison to if you compared Monastery Mentor and Young Pyromancer. Young Pyromancer has been historically a staple in those spell-based decks, and Monastery Mentor has never seen play. I think 3 mana on this thing is the world of difference. So as powerful as this looks, I'm going to go a little bit hot and say I don't think this will get there. So I'm probably going to chuck this in the world where I want to live.
Yeah.
But I'm open to being wrong. But I'm going to go a little hotter on that one.
I'm actually inclined to agree with you. I actually thought that this card was pretty much a joke, just because I think the decks that this wants to be in, by the time they're getting up to 3 mana, they're really out of gas.
Yeah.
Like part of what was powerful about Corey Steelcutter was that it generated tokens that had prowess, which means that it wanted to be in a deck that was running all, card draw spells. Whereas this wants to be running creatures, which famously, if creatures are generating advantage, they're not generating threat.
And there's such a massive difference in the mana values as well.
Absolutely.
Because having to go like turn 3 just a 2/4 and then hope to be able to trigger it next turn.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to live, in the world where this is competitive, but it's not going to be. It's not going to be this world.
All right, let me save your voice a little bit. I'll take over reading a few of them. Next up is Exalted Sunborn. This is 3 white for a 4/5 flying lifelink angel wizard. If one or more tokens would be created under your control, twice that many of those tokens are created instead. Michael, talk to the commander players.
Commander players, I'd like to apologize on behalf of WotC. They're not printing Anointed Procession anytime soon. And instead they're going to continue to mock you. I think of the sort of warp static effect, this is probably the worst one. And I would love for this to be competitive. But I would be shocked if this made it into a standard deck. And if Sam turns around and tells me that there's some incredibly niche interaction in an older format, I wouldn't be surprised, but I doubt it.
I'm actually a bit higher on this. The Baneslayer Angel type body has seen plenty of play in different standards over the years, even if it's just as a sideboard card versus mono red. And so this just being like a baseline Baneslayer Angel, effectively, is very exciting. The token doubling thing really excites me when I think about Elspeth, which has the same effect. So now we've got redundancy on 2 otherwise pretty powerful cards when it comes to token doubling. So unfortunately they're both at the same mana value, so that does complicate things. But having a powerful effect with redundancy, and it's not just a dead card on its own, I could see this. I'm probably still going to go, I want to live in the world where it's good, but I reckon it's on the upper end of it, and I would not be at all surprised if this saw a reasonable amount of play.
Let's take a second here. I think we're both more than happy to put this in tier 3. Could you make an argument for it going into tier 2? Could you picture like a control deck or any sort of mid-rangey deck that would make me want to say this will see relevant play in standard?
Yeah, I think so.
All right. I think because we're going to have this middle tier, I think is going to be glutted up. I think anything that we're genuinely enthusiastic about, I'm going to put it up in competitive player.
Love it. Yeah,
just because I want this to be a positive channel.
Yeah, I like the bar for 5 drops is really high in standard, but I think this one could clear it. So I'm actually quite excited about this. All right, let's talk about Halia, Guided by Light. This is 2 and a white for a 3/3 legendary human soldier. Whenever Halia or another creature or artifact you control enters, you gain 1 life. And at the beginning of your end step, draw a card if you've gained 3 or more life this turn, and it has warp for a single white. Thoughts?
I'm amazed that it's taken us this long to get a Soul Sister type effect that gains life on its own ETB. That's just, I like the card based entirely off of that.
Oh, yeah. Sure.
I really would like this to be playable just because it represents a very proactive form of the life gain deck, and I don't like that Hope S-Time and other cards coming in this set are encouraging life gain mill. Whether or not life gain actually becomes a deck, I'm less sure of. I do think some of its key pieces are rotating. I believe some of its key 1-drops are rotating, unfortunately. But for me, this card is at least I want to live.
Yeah, like, people love the life gain sort of deck, and it never works. It's never good. I would toss this into the commander tier. I know just because people love life gain. So look, if you want to play your life gain commander, do that. If you want to live in the life gain world, that's fine as well.
I feel like putting a card like this in the commander pool is almost offensive because you can't warp from the command zone. But I am going to put it there.
Cool. All right. Yep.
This is. I say this in a couple of my shorts. I'm like, if your play group won't let you warp from the command zone, they don't understand what makes cards good.
Yeah. That's funny. All right, next up, we've got Hardlight Containment.
Yes!
This is a single white enchantment aura enchant artifact you control. When this aura enters, exile target creature an opponent controls until this aura leaves the battlefield, and the enchanted permanent has ward 1. Hype me up.
Yes. Okay, so Bright Glass Gear Hulk is a real deck. I think this pushes it over the edge into being a full-on toolbox deck that I think will actually show up in those cowardly sideboard standard formats. It already holds its own in best of one. This is going to make it even better. Obviously, the deck has some problems playing into Graveyard Hate because the deck is based around Phoenix Down. But I think this card's fantastic in that deck, and I wouldn't be surprised if it saw play outside of it. There are going to be situations where someone's going to play the new temporary lockdown, and then they're going to put a hardlight containment on it to remove whatever you play after the lockdown.
Oh. That's awesome. I hadn't thought of that.
Yeah, that's, for me, it's big up in competitive player.
I'm gonna encourage you to go one higher. Actually, I think this will see play in at least Pioneer. The nearest comparison is Chain to the Rocks, which does still see play, and obviously saw a lot of play in its standard time, and I think would hold up. And for a lot of decks, it's much easier to have an artifact hanging around than a thing with type Mountain.
Yeah, Modern famously has artifact lands.
Yeah. So any 1 mana exile effect is worth building your deck to accommodate. Leyline Binding. Taught this.
Yep.
I'd like this a lot more if it could exile non-creatures. That's probably the only thing that holds it back. But I certainly think this will hit Pioneer, and I could see it in Modern as well. So I reckon
design mistake. It's our first design mistake. Absolutely goes there. I hope we're both correct.
That's what you named this, because this is a really cool design.
It's such a good... I'm actually really happy with this card, and I love it, but I cannot be anything but controversial when I'm naming tiers.
All right, one last one from me. This is Lightstall Inquisitor.
Oh.
This is a single white 2/1 Vigilance. When this creature enters, and it's an angel, which could be angel wizard, which could be relevant. When this creature enters, each opponent exiles a card from their hand and may play that card for as long as it remains exiled. Note that includes lands. Each spell cast this way costs 1 more to cast, and each land played this way enters tapped.
I love that,
Michael.
I love that you knew to mention it was an angel, because I mentioned to you that Giada is in standard.
Yes.
I'm like, he's trying to steal my thunder.
I sure am.
After getting gaslit so early in the show, I've learned that I have to be on my toes with you.
I've never gaslit you on your channel. I don't think I've ever gaslit anyone.
We're Australian. It's our national sport. I think this is a fantastic card. I think this is going to see play everywhere. Like I'm gonna be seeing this up and down the best of one ladder, guaranteed. When I first read this, I was like, oh, I'm going to play this into a control deck, and they're just going to exile a land that's going to ETB tapped anyway. And then I thought about playing into this as mono red, which is what I'm actually going to be playing 80% of the time. And I was like, oh, I hate this card.
Yeah.
I'm going to be spending a removal on this card, and I'm going to be either playing a basic mountain tapped, or paying 1 more for a card that I really want to cost 1 or 2 mana, which is just... put it
This for my money is the most powerful card in the set.
Yeah.
This is one we are going to get extremely sick of dealing with.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if the kind of arena audience appreciates how painful that sort of tax can be, because Constructed is so much about being efficient and working effectively on curve and all that sort of thing. And the times when white aggro, like a white weenie sort of deck, has been good, has been when it is fast and disruptive.
Yes, absolutely.
And so we've got a couple of different tools to help on that disruptive front. Is Thalia still in standard? I can't remember. But I know we've got Aven Interrupter at least.
Yeah.
And so honestly, just that group is enough to make a white-based aggressive deck.
Absolutely.
Good. This card's very scary.
Yes.
And absolutely a design mistake.
Absolutely agree. There's no world where I argue you down from design mistake there.
Yeah. I already hate this, and I'm going to swear every time I say it.
Yeah. All right, my turn to take over the cards. Oh, we picked a card that I know that you love. Lumen Class Frigate, our first spaceship. As is, 1 and a white for a blank card. And it has station, and at 2+ station, other creatures you control get +1/+1. And at 12+ station, a bargain price, it becomes a 3/5 with flying and lifelink. Sam, are we ever going to see one of these cards attack on a Pro Tour stream?
I don't know, but I think it'll see play regardless.
Yeah.
This is powerful. So the fact that it's 2 mana is not good because you can drop it on turn 2. It's good because you can do something like turn 1, the stupid angel thing that we just talked about.
Yep.
Turn 2, 2-drop, turn 3, 2 cards or 1 card, make a couple of bodies. Then when you get to turn 4, you play a 2-drop and this, use the 2-drop to crew it up to an anthem and crack them.
Oh.
Or, if you don't have attacks, you just sink all the power into the spacecraft itself to try to get your big angel turned on.
Yep.
And in that scenario, if you don't have attacks, having a 3-power flyer lifelink is exactly what you're after. So if there is going to be a white weenie deck like we were talking about a moment ago, I think this will actually be a key piece of it. I think this is one of the few playable spacecraft in the set.
I was honestly like, at most, this is I want to live. Are you telling me that this is straight up a competitive player? Like, white is already pretty top-heavy in this tier list.
The fact that there are good white aggressive cards already is what makes me think it can get there.
All right, I believe you. Let's put it up here.
Yeah.
All right, let's see if white can continue the streak. Oh, we know it can. Pinnacle Star Cage, 1 and 2 white for an artifact. When this artifact enters, exile all artifacts and creatures with mana value 2 or less until this artifact leaves the battlefield. 8 mana, do a bunch of stuff we don't care about. Sam, talk to me about the relevant parts of this card. How is this different to temporary lockdown?
Yeah, so the fact that it's an artifact with Ultima in the format is going to be pretty relevant. The fact that this hits, the fact that this doesn't hit certain card types, particularly enchantments. So one of Temp Lockdown's big purposes was taking out cards like High Noon, those like lockdown prison hate enchantments. So this doesn't hit those, and the fact that Ultima wipes this out is going to be relevant. Your point that we can just enchant it up with
hard light
containment is pretty real. I don't think there's the differences with Temp Lockdown are substantial. Temp Lockdown was, for my money, like the most important answer that we had on the back end of the last standard format. And I think this is going to be incredibly important.
I'm really happy that this card exists now because I was worried that Temp Lockdown was not in Foundations. I'll be frank. Now,
I wonder how late this got added into the design file once Wizards realized how lucky they were that they had temporary lockdown printed.
You know, we could probably sit down and do some math on that if we wanted to. So we're talking at least competitive player. Sam, you are the extended formats guru here. Does temporary lockdown see any play in extended formats? Is this going to see any play in extended formats being an artifact? Talk to me.
Yeah, it sees a little bit of play. Not heaps, because once you get to modern, there's Wrath of the Skies, which is just stupid. So like it might touch Pioneer, but not substantially. There might be some cases where you can tutor it as an artifact, but I can't think of what those are off the top of my head. So I like competitive play for this one.
Agreed, absolutely. All right. Our real Commander bait now that they changed the rules of Commander. The Sarima, 1 and 2 white for a spacecraft with an enters the battlefield effect. When it enters, search a library for a legendary creature card, reveal it. put it into your hand, then shuffle. And then station 7+, it becomes a flying 5/5 with other tapped legendary creatures you control have indestructible, which will be extremely useful on the turn you have tapped them all to make a 5/5. Sam, say your worst things about this card.
Straight to Commander.
Yep. Yep.
I hope the Commander players enjoy it. This one's not for Constructed.
Yeah, absolutely. This is... I dislike this card immensely, and part of the reason for that is because I think it's a bad commander. I think a commander should fundamentally make use of the fact that the rules of the game have been fundamentally destroyed to allow you unfettered access to a single card, and constantly recasting this feels like an absolute waste of time. So you would put this in your 99 at best. But it is at least better than a basic Plains.
Yeah. I can see how people would have fun with this.
Yes.
So I'm glad we've got that here.
Yeah. All right. So, substantially better immediately. Sunstar Chaplain. 1 and a white for a 3/2. Good start. Human Cleric, at the beginning of your end step, if you control 2 or more tapped creatures, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control, and to remove a +1/+1 counter from a creature you control, tap target artifact or creature. This is not Luminarch Aspirant, but it's pretty close in my opinion. What do you think?
Yeah, if it was 1 tapped creature, I think I'd be pretty interested. Needing to have 2... Because part of the power of a card like Luminarch Aspirant is it turns just 1 other creature into a major threat. And then they have to remove the Luminarch Aspirant and you've still got the really good other threat.
Yes.
If you don't get a trigger off this, because you're an aggro deck and they're managing your battlefield, it seems much less exciting. That being said, it's a 2-mana 3/2 rather than a 2-mana 1/1.
Yeah.
So, look, I think you've got a bit more experience with these sort of aggro decks than me. I'm probably going to lean a little bit towards tier 3, but if you want to bump it up to competitive, I could see that.
So I will say here that the difference between tier 2 and tier 3 for this card for me is there a human or cleric tribal deck in the format? That tends to be the thing that pushes white weenie decks from tier 3 to tier 2 in this case, that B tier to A tier, is that sort of white weenie is just good, like generically good, the way that mono red aggro is good, but when there's that additional sort of power, you get those big alpha strikes that the soldier decks had, or you have some of the lockdowns or the life gain that Angel and Cleric decks have had in the past. I don't know that there's a good human or Cleric tool in the format at the moment, so I'm going to put it in tier 3.
Yeah.
I would like for this to just be generically competitively playable without needing that extra bit, but that's not the world we live in.
Yep. Like, I mean, I can see this slotting into that curve we talked about before with the Lumen class frigate, where this is the thing that you play on turn 4 with the frigate that crews the frigate, and then in addition to your anthem, you also get a +1/+1 counter. But, like, I don't really want to just play this on turn 2. So, I'm willing to eat my words on that one, but I like where you put it. I'm taking over now because we're into blue, which means it's happy fun times and no more white aggro.
No!
We've got Consult the Star Charts, 1 and a blue instant with Kicker for another 1 and a blue. Look at the top X cards of your library, where X is the number of lands you control. Put 1 of those cards into your hand, and if this spell was kicked, put 2 of those cards into your hand. Instead, put the rest on the bottom in a random order. Michael, is this Memory Deluge?
I feel like this is pretty close to Memory Deluge. Like, it doesn't cast itself twice, but the fact that you can rip this off the top of your deck when you're late in a control mirror and pay for and look at the top 7-8 cards of your library feels pretty Memory Deluge to me.
It does, yeah. So this is... that's kind of an obvious comparison and leads us to think this is going to be really strong. The only way I'm going to push back a little bit is it's probably going to compete with Stock Up. And I'm not sure which is better in a control shell. I think the Stock Up ability is better, but this being flexible, so you can just run it on 2 if you didn't need to counter anything, plus it just plays better with counter spells. The control decks in standard at the moment really don't like having to tap out for Stock Up.
Yeah.
Counter back in the other direction is that they both play really nicely with Shiko. Stock up probably a little bit better because it will always get you two cards, whereas this is going to dig nicely but only get you one. I don't know what the answer is. I like that this is going to compete with stock up and gives blue control a couple of different options. But yeah, I think this is pretty clearly a competitive player.
Yeah, absolutely. It's as much as I, I'm not a blue player myself. I do recognize that other players are allowed to have cards that they want, and this
gives us more cards.
It gives you so many cards. Important note, which I know that is relevant to you specifically. You cannot cast this kicked off cracking a Black Lotus, unlike stock up. A fact that I only know because you sent it to me.
I sent Michael a screenshot of me finding the best use for Black Lotus, which is casting stock up on turn 1 to find your lands.
It was the best use of cards in his hand.
So good. All right, next up we've got Emissary Escort. This is a 1 and a blue 0/4 artifact creature robot soldier. This creature gets +X/+O, where X is the greatest mana value among other artifacts you control. Michael, how good is a 2 mana 4/4, assuming we can get to that point?
That's pretty good. That seems pretty good to me. I'm of mixed opinions about this card because I think it will actually be quite relevant in Best of One for allowing people to build fun white-blue artifact decks that don't get immediately run over by mono-red. But I don't imagine that's going to translate to any sort of actually competitive format.
Yeah, the issue is all the ways that you would enable this really nicely are probably going to be the sort of decks where you don't care about having a Tarmogoyf.
Yeah.
Which is kind of effectively what this is. So like the blue-white artifacts deck in Standard could make decent use of this, I guess, but that deck just doesn't want a 2 mana 3/4. And then in older formats, using a Frogmite and a bunch of 0 mana artifacts to turn this into a 4/4 is pretty nice, but if it cost 1 mana, I'd be interested. I don't think it'll get there at 2. The bar for just like a vanilla stats 2-drop is really high these days. So
you've made me imagine this card as a 1 mana 0/2, and I'm like, I would love that.
Yeah, that would be a lot more interesting.
I would love that. Because also like that would be an interesting aggressive card because then it dies to the 2 damage removal spells that we like to see. I want to live in the world where that's the card that exists.
I'm with you.
And in spirit of that, I'm going to put it in tier 3.
Love it. Next up, we have...
Come on, keep thinking.
Menon, the right hand. Legendary creature, Jellyfish Artificer, is 3 blue for a 3/4 flying. You may look at the top card of your library at any time. You may cast artifact spells from the top of your library. And artifacts you control have tap, add blue. Spend this mana only to cast a spell from anywhere other than your hand. Thoughts, Michael?
I love a Future Sight. This is not quite a Future Sight, and it's on a creature, which mostly exists to allow you to make this card your commander, which means, this card's pretty clear in telling us what tier it wants to be in, and that is the commander tier.
Agree. Yeah, these Future Sight type things have seen play, but the limit seems to be about 4 mana. And it requires basically every card in your deck to meet the condition, which is difficult for artifacts and it's difficult at 5 mana. This looks like a fun commander card, though.
Yeah, absolutely.
Love it. Sick art as well, as goes with most of this set. Next up, we have Moonlit Meditation. 2 and a blue for an enchantment aura. Enchant artifact or creature you control. The first time you would create 1 or more tokens each turn, you may instead create that many tokens that are copies of enchanted permanent. What are we doing with this?
I think this is our first card in the tier of actively makes your deck worse. I think that this is going to see play in Simulacrum Synthesizer decks, which are going to, they're going to be popping off. They're going to be loving life. They've got a 3 mana temporary lockdown that's justifying their existence, and I think they're going to play this. They're going to be like, oh, look at all these extra synthesizers that I'm going to get, and they're going to discover that this is not solving any of the problems that they have with that deck. This is a pure win more card in that it requires both 2 different forms of input for it to work well. and then the output doesn't end the game immediately, which is insane to me.
Yes. I want to stress that I think this looks really, really fun, and I can tell there are lots of combos that we can do with this, and that makes me excited. But you are right; it's not good.
It's so bad. I'm actually, and this is like, I put my designer hat on. I think this is so bad that it actually is not as fun as it looks. I think playing with this card will only engender disappointment, and I think you should take it out of your decks.
I can see that. Yep.
All right, get this off my screen.
Right. We now have the Quantum Riddler. This is our Space Sphinx. Ooh, that's hard to say. 3 blue for a 4/6 flying. When this enters, draw a card, and as long as you have 1 or fewer cards in hand, if you would draw 1 or more cards, you draw that many cards plus 1 instead, and you can warp it for 1 and a blue. We doing anything with this?
I mean, not really. No. I actually feel like this card almost belongs somewhere in between just happy to be here and I want to live, because I can't really picture a well-functioning deck with this in it, and I don't know that Commander players are ever going to play this, because Commander players don't play all of the cards in their hand.
That's a really good point, actually. Yeah, if that last ability was just static instead of needing 1 or fewer cards, I still don't think it would break into regular constructed, but would be a little bit more interesting.
It would at least be Muldrifter.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I will raise our spirits a little bit. If this Quantum Riddler is referring to what we can only assume is the most generally well-known quantum experiment, which is the double slit experiment, what we assume we have here is a Sphinx that gives you a 2-option riddle here. How are you supposed to answer a 2-option riddle that is in some way supposed to work with the double slit experiment? Are you supposed to give an answer that is both of the answers intertwined? Are you supposed to just pick one of the possible answers and just assume that it's correct based on your collapsed idea of the riddle? And is that not then just a normal riddle?
It's actually a 3-slit experiment. There's 3 black holes in the picture.
I can't believe you've done this to me.
Let's go.
I'm putting this in actively makes your deck worse because of that answer. All right, I'm reading the next card. Starfield Vocalist, one of my favorite Japanese treatment cards, because you can turn it into your VTuber of choice.
Nice.
Rip to VShojo. This is a 4-mana 3/4. If a permanent entering the battlefield causes the triggered ability of a permanent you control to trigger, it triggers. Again, warp for 2. I assume that this is going to be like used in all sorts of like Reddit bad combos for going infinite.
Yeah. But
I don't think there was ever a point, even in design, where this was costed around being competitive.
No, I don't think so either. Elesh Norn has seen a reasonable amount of play, but that's mostly for its ability to shut off the opponent's stuff.
Yeah.
And then the ability for it to enhance your own was gravy. So I think just having the beneficial effect will not get there. I'm sure the Commander players will do cool things.
Commander players are going to absolutely love being able to pay 2 and double trigger their Commander ETB effect, and then later on a later turn, as Commander players are famously more than happy to do the same thing again, but pay 2 mana for it. 2 additional.
And if you want to play a creature with an ETB flicker, and then you can flicker this and something else, and then you get the effect permanently, I can see cool things.
Yes, absolutely. All right, next up, we have our Space Leviathan, Starwinder. So, 5 and 2 blue for a 7/7. Nice, big, beefy blue boy. Whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, you may draw that many cards. Warp, 2 and 2 blue. Sam, how does this compare to Enduring Curiosity?
I don't know. Yeah, I guess you could pay 4 mana at sorcery speed for a thing that sticks around for a single turn, or you could pay 4 mana for a flash 4/3 that can't be killed. I don't know. Difficult comparison.
Yeah, it is. I do wonder. is there going to be a world where they compete based on the fact that this is drawing that many cards and Enduring Curiosity is drawing only one per creature?
Yeah, I don't even think there's a comparison there. Because Curiosity incentivizes you to have lots of little disruptive 1 or 2 power things, whereas this incentivizes you to have 1 or more very big things. And that's just a difficult thing to try to build around.
Absolutely. Famously, a relatively easy thing to kill with a Doomblade.
Yeah. That's really disappointing, because that's a cool line of text. I wish the stats on it lined up better.
Are we putting this in happy to be here or actively makes our deck worse? Is that catastrophizing?
I'll leave that to you with more experience in Commander.
I'm going to say, look, Commander players are more than happy to have a second copy of any effect, because famously they can only get one Enduring Curiosity, so they'll slam this into their decks.
And look, honestly, in Constructed, if you hit your opponent with an 8/8, drawing 8 cards is nice, but probably not super necessary, whereas that is not the same in a format where you start a 40 life.
Yes, absolutely. All right. Opposite end of the mana value scale, we have Synthesizer Labship. 1 blue for a Darksteel Relic. It has Station as 2+. At the beginning of combat on your turn, animate an artifact you control. It has power 2/2 and gains flying. And then 9+, it's a flying Vigilance 4/4. Now, we have some creatures in Standard that have the makings of a decent, sort of small, aggressive, blue animating deck. We've got Zoatic Glyph, that's a good top end for that deck. Sam, do you think this has a home?
I don't know. This one's really difficult to evaluate. Being a single mana is a really big game.
Absolutely.
So yeah, if we're going to play this in a scissors kind of deck with Zoatic Glyph or in Pioneer, and there is a Pioneer scissors deck. I can't even remember the name of the card now. So it is interesting there. If there's a more aggressive leaning version of that synthesizer deck,
yep,
I could see this getting in there. So this one's certainly got potential.
Yeah, I would love to put this at least in tier 3 in I Want to Live.
Yeah.
I think the deck is going to exist. Like, there's going to be, this deck is going to appear on untap.gg. But I don't think it's going to be a card that anybody would genuinely call competitive.
Yeah, that's fair. I like that assessment.
All right. And now a card that I know absolutely nobody is going to call competitive. Weft Walking. 6 mana for a mythic enchantment. Strap in, everybody. When it enters, if you cast it, shuffle your hand and graveyard into your library and then draw 7 cards. We're off to a strong start. The first spell each player casts during each of their turns may be cast without paying its mana cost. Sam, what are the chances that my opponents take pity on me for casting this card and choose not to cast their first spell without paying its mana cost?
I'm going to say this is entirely your fault. This is basically what you asked for when you wanted fixed omniscience in that video that you did.
I don't even agree. This is like the cards that I included in that video that were like, these cards have missed the point of Omniscience. Omniscience is meant to actually, like, advance your game and, like, make you play in a different weird sphere of magic. You know, it's like having a Future Sight on the board. It's like having a One with the Multiverse on the board. This... just the fact that there's so many things to this card. First of all, if you cheat it, you don't get this, the reshuffle and draw 7, which is insane to me. Then the fact that it's the first spell no matter what, which means that when you cast this, you've spent 6 mana to turn it off. It is not an effect that you get a spell that you can cast for free, but it's only once per turn and only on your turn. It is actually whatever you do to put this on the board on your turn, unless you've gotten it onto the board through like a saga trigger of some kind, this is never ever going to discount something for you before it discounts something for every other opponent at the table.
Yeah, which is really important. So I think if you play it in the way that it's written as intended, I'm completely with you, and it's completely unplayable. The only thing that catches my eye a little bit is if you can repeatedly cast it in a single turn as part of a combo. So if you can cast it, wheel, and then still have lots of mana available afterwards, either because you're playing a high tide untappy sort of deck, or because you've got Omniscience in play, whatever, and then you've got a way that you can pick it up and keep replaying it. That's interesting, but it sounds like a lot of hoops to jump through for effects you can probably get better elsewhere.
So this is a world where we're treating this as a sorcery that says wheel yourself, and if you don't end the game this turn, blow yourself up.
Correct.
I feel like that makes any deck that it's in much worse. I feel like that's a bad card.
Yep. Nope. I can't argue with you.
It terrifies me to think that I'm gonna have a short evaluating this card, saying all of these things, go on YouTube, and I'm gonna have somebody in the comments defending this card. And I don't know what they're gonna say because I cannot fathom what they could possibly say to defend this card.
I want to live in the world where we're casting our draw 7 repeatedly in the same turn until we kill the opponent. I just can't quite imagine how we're doing it.
I famously do not want to live in the world where that combo exists.
That's because you're boring. All right, let's go over to black. Here we have Alpha Rail, Stone Chosen. 3 black for a legendary creature, human cleric. It is a 3/3 with ward. Discard a card at random. And it has a void ability that says whenever it attacks, if a non-land permanent left the battlefield this turn or a spell was warped this turn, defending player loses half their life, rounded up. Michael, why did they make Unstoppable Slasher 5 mana?
First of all, this is not Unstoppable Slasher. This has an important and extremely relevant upside to Unstoppable Slasher. Yes, it is conditional to trigger the remove half-life, but this removes half-life on attack, which means if I attack into a player with 6 life, this guy actually kills them. And I appreciate that at 5 mana. I like this.
Look, given that it's 5 mana, it's going to need to make me a cup of tea and win my next round on its own for me as well. I think this is a worse Unstoppable Slasher in about 3 ways.
Oh, devastating! What are your thoughts on Ward discard a card at random? I think that's
brutal.
That's brutal. Yeah, thank you. Okay, so at least we agree on that at least.
Yeah, that's a really powerful line of text. The Unstoppable Slasher just not dying, I think is probably better, having tried to kill that stupid thing for as long as it's existed.
Have you tried killing the player who controls it? That's usually what I do.
No. Silly person. Then the game would end. Look, if this was 1 black, I would think it would compete with
oh my gosh.
Slasher. The bar for 5 mana cards is not 3 mana. It is not 5 mana 3/3 that doesn't do anything until the next turn.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think this makes your deck worse having it. I don't think it's that bad. I think this is great, and Commander players should play it. And I feel like I'm getting actively makes your deck worse energy from you right now.
Just the fact that there's a better version for 2 mana cheaper in standard is the real deal breaker there for me. Yeah, it's got a bunch of powerful lines of text, but it's just not good enough for 5 mana. But look, if the Arena Best of 1 people are going to like it, and I will note it combos much better with Bloodletter of Aclazots.
Yes.
Except for the fact that you can play Slasher and then play Aclazots and then kill them if the Slasher gets through. Whereas this one you have to wait till turn 5 to play You Do Nothing 3/3 and then turn 6 to attack, but it does actually just kill them.
You've really brought me down on this card, and I'm willing to put it down here.
Yell at me in the comments, people.
Oh, I'm so sad. Anyway, Archenemy's Charm. 3 black mana for an instant. Choose 1. Exile a creature or planeswalker. Return 1 or 2 creature and or planeswalker cards from your graveyard to your hand. Or put 2++ counters on target creature you control. It gains lifelink until end of turn. Sam, this is my poster child for I want to live in the world where this tier is competitive. I want you to tell me right now that this is busted in Eternal formats, and it's even better than I think it is.
I'm actually going to tell you the opposite, unfortunately.
No!
I love this cycle. It's a shame that the first one, Archmage's Charm, was in Modern Horizons rather than going through Standard. I like this card a lot. The thing is, with the other one, so with Archmage's Charm, all of the effects on it were at least decent for 3 mana, even in a slightly older format. With Archdruid's Charm, it's busted in certain older decks, particularly Pioneer Lotus Field, where it can just go search up half the combo into play at instant speed. This one, I like its effects for Standard. I think all of those effects are worth paying 3 mana for on a modal spell in Standard.
Yep.
The problem is the mana in Standard is not such that you can easily pay triple black, which restricts it to mono black, and it is a rare day when mono black is good in Standard. So I really like this, and I'm with you. I want to live in the world where this is competitive. My heart sadly says, as much as I like it, I don't think it's going to get there.
Yeah. I'm so sad.
Me too.
So
I love this cycle. I can't wait to see the rest of them.
Me too. The red one's gonna, the red one's gonna be awful. It's gonna be like impulsing, and it's gonna give something haste, and we're all gonna be like, why didn't it sneak attack something? Why wasn't that one of the modes?
The upside is mono red is one of the most common mono colored card combinations.
Yeah, I suppose the alternate timeline is the red is an instant speed version of Chain Whirler.
I just threw up on my mouth.
Yeah, for the viewers who remember that.
Oh my god, don't say words like that.
That's right, off the screen. Corral of the Void, 4 mana, Enchant Creature. That's what enchantment auras with Enchant Creature you control used to have. Whenever Enchanted Creature attacks, put a creature card from a defending player's graveyard onto the battlefield under your control, tapped and attacking. Void at the beginning of your end step. Sack this aura unless you have voided. Now, to me, Sam, I feel like a card that only does something if my opponent has expended resources is bad.
See, this is why you need to play the real constructed formats where we have sideboards and where you could, in theory, bring this in as a sideboard card against Reanimator. So they go to the effort of discarding their Atraxa into the graveyard, and you go, whoop, my Atraxa, permanently. Thank you for that.
Okay. For 4 mana and having to attack with Enchanted Creature, is that...
It's a tough ask.
Yeah. I mean,
a tough ask.
It's nice. It's nice. When I first read this card, I will admit, I thought that the creatures that it reanimated left the battlefield when it left the battlefield, but that's not true. Mm-hmm. You keep them forever.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I noticed that as well. So yeah, I think playing it fairly is just a bad idea. That would go right into makes your deck worse. The only time is if you want to really just ruin your Reanimator opponent's day, but let's be real, you're gonna be better off with a Relic of Progenitus or a Soul Guide Lantern most of the time. So this is probably going to make your deck worse in basically every circumstance. Yeah. But I am going to enjoy the times where someone gets their Atraxa yoinked out of their graveyard.
Does that Schadenfreude push it up to just happy to be here for you?
I don't think so. I think this is pretty bad.
Devastating. Absolutely devastating.
All right, let's talk Elegy Acolyte. This is 2 black for a 4/4 human cleric. It has lifelink, and whenever one or more creatures you control deal combat damage to a player, you draw a card and lose 1 life. And its void ability is at the beginning of your end step. If you have voided, create a 2/2 colorless robot artifact creature token. This is our second chance to talk about some competition with Enduring Curiosity.
Yeah, I read this card and I immediately was like, oh, I remember when Gix Yawgmoth Praetor was playable. It's not currently, which is devastating as the card rotates out. I don't know that card, drawing fewer cards and costing 1 more mana, even if it has lifelink and potentially is going to generate some more 2/2s, is going to be playable. And certainly not when Enduring Curiosity is 1 color over in the Dimir mid-range decks.
Yep, I agree. So once again, the main distinction here is that this is 1 or more creatures you control deal damage. So you're only going to get 1 card per combat, whereas Curiosity gives you 1 per creature that connected. Same with Gix. So yeah, the fact that Curiosity gives you 1 per creature, doesn't lose you life, and is extremely hard to kill.
Yep.
I think puts it over the edge of this one.
Yeah.
The fact that this is a really nice body versus a mono red style deck is interesting, and so it could possibly have some niche applications there.
Yeah.
I would love for this to be playable. I love big black lifelinking creatures.
Yeah.
As long as Enduring Curiosity is around, though, if you're playing it just for that main effect, it's always just going to be second best in class.
Yeah, I'm more than happy to put this in. I want to live. What do you think?
Right. Yep. Perfect time.
Beautiful. All right, let's move on. Oh, yes.
We have words to say about this one.
Yes, we do. Oh.
Go for it.
All right. Entropic Battle Cruiser. The card's so big that it doesn't fit in the frame. Have you noticed that about the spaceship cards? The spaceships are all extended art frames.
Oh, cool. I hadn't noticed that.
Yeah.
I think I'd subconsciously noticed it because their art is so striking.
Yes. 3 and a black for a card that does nothing.
Correct.
Oh, but it gets worse. At Station 1+, whenever an opponent discards a card, they lose 3 life. And at Station 8+, it becomes a flying death touch 3/10 whenever it attacks, each opponent discards a card, and whoever can't. If they can't discard, they lose 3 life. So they always lose the 3 life. You know, that's a benefit. Here's what I have to say about this card. As a designer, the play patterns that this card encourages are so incredibly unfun. Like, you're telling this card, first of all, you're paying 4 mana for a card that is blank on resolution. That cannot be overstated how insane it is that we have like a cycle of cards like this in a modern standard set. But then when you turn it on and you have, when an opponent discards a card, they lose 3 life, you're telling me that you want to encourage players to rip an opponent's hand as a way of winning the game. And you're telling me
starting on turn 5.
Starting on turn 5. Look, I'm not even worried about the fact that this is competitively just pure garbage. Like, not worth the cardboard it's printed on. Like, not worth the trees that were cut down to print however many of this card that we get. And the idea that it might have been a double-sized card that could have been your only spaceship in the set. Oh, we live in the good timeline. That's insane. The idea... If you play this card at your commander table and you genuinely attempt to win using this card, you're going to upset your friends. I'm putting this in actively makes your deck worse, and I'm putting this in actively makes your deck worse with, if you try to build a deck around this card, you are going to ruin your friendships.
The only bit I'm going to disagree with is that very last part, because if my friends cast a 4 mana Darksteel relic that's not even indestructible, I would give them a big ol' thumbs up. Thanks, mate. I'm gonna kill you now.
No.
You're right. It's not even good at the thing it's trying to do. This is an extremely poor piece of cardboard.
Absolutely.
Let's talk about other cards.
The poor trees.
The poor trees. That's not worth the pasta sheets that made the lasagna that fueled the designers who made it. Oh, not good enough. Let's talk about Requiem Monolith.
Yes.
This is a 2 and a black artifact with tap until end of turn. Target creature gains. Whenever this creature is dealt damage, you draw that many cards and lose that much life. That creature's controller may have this artifact deal 1 damage to it. Activate only as a sorcery. Do you know what we're doing with this?
I cannot imagine a world where this card sees play at anything other than the most casual of commander tables. And it is purely being played at a commander table so that I can look to my opponent who has 14 life, activate this targeting their creature, and say, do you want to take the 1 and draw a card? And when they hum and haw about it, I can be like, you have 14 life, it's so much. And then they take the 1, and then I blasphemous act the table. to force them to take 13 and draw 13 and lose the game. That is the only world in which this has any use, and it is just as a moment.
Yeah.
It's just terrible.
I like that they're printing more and more cards that are good with stuffy doll Boris Reckoner kind of cards.
Yes.
There's an extremely unplayable card that we're going to get to later that is good in those kind of decks. This looks fun in those kind of decks as well. But yeah, you're right. This is just this is a fun casual card at best.
Yeah.
Next up, we have Sothera the Super Void, which comes in a bunch of fancy arts. 2 black legendary enchantment. Whenever a creature you control dies... Hey, it's not a leyline. I always expect it to be a leyline with that stat line. Whenever a creature you control dies, each opponent chooses a creature they control and exiles it. At the beginning of your end step, if a player controls no creatures, sacrifice Sothera, then put a creature card exiled with it onto the battlefield under your control with 2 additional +1/+1 counters. Your thoughts, Michael?
It's upsetting that this can't be your commander.
Just give it a few years.
Honestly, one of my litmus tests for a new commander table would be I would sit down, I would ask if I can play my Sothera deck with Sothera as the commander. Because, like, this is just good flavor to have this as your commander. And if they say no, they don't understand what makes cards good. Because this... You look at the first chunk of text on this, and it seems good. But here's the thing. At the beginning of your end step, if any player controls no creatures, Commander is a format where, famously, people go out of their way to run Ashnod's Altar so they can sacrifice their creatures at instant speed in response to a Wrath. You will play this...
That's not why they play Ashnod's Altar.
Sorry?
That's not why they play Ashnod's Altar.
that is not a joke. Not a joke. Some of them understand what Ashnod's Altar is for. Not a joke. I have seen real human beings float mana with Ashnod's Altar just to have their creatures not get exiled.
I mean, look, I've done it, so I can't disrespect it.
There's just no world where this card survives your end step ever.
Yeah. Yeah. This looks like a fun... What's the 5 mana version of this that is popular in Commander? Cruel something. The people
Cruel
comment. They know
my
what
brain went to
about.
Painful Quandary, and I'm like, that's a different card.
Yeah. So that effect where like you lose something and then each opponent good in Commander loses one of their things, and then this gives you a nice little bit of upside. So I imagine this will be very popular in Commander as well. This is never seen playing in a 60 card format.
Yeah, absolutely. That's my hot take though, is that it really wants to be a Commander card. It's so hard to keep this on the board in Commander. The more players that you are playing with, the harder this is to keep on board, which is just like the opposite of how you want things to work in Commander. I think that you're going to go to play this in your Commander games, and it's just going to disappear instantly, and you're going to be like, oh, that's not how I thought this card worked. And any card that gives you that feeling goes in, actively makes your deck worse for me.
I respect it. Yep, I would have given it to the Commander players, but I respect it. This should have been Alpha Rail. Alpha Rail should have been a 2 black 4/4 with this text.
Yes. Oh, absolutely. Oh.
All right. Next up, we've got Sunset Saboteur, 1 and a black for a human rogue. He's a 4/1 with Menace, Ward, discard a card, and whenever this creature attacks, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature an opponent controls.
I love when a card tells you in really no uncertain terms what it's for. You know, this is like those Eldrazi's that were like, we have Annihilator, and that the low rarity one that was like, this Eldrazi must attack every combat. And then people were like, oh, it turns out attacking with Annihilator is incredible. I love that. It frustrates me that this is rare, but I love a 4/1 with Ward, discard a card that's clearly meant for crewing vehicles and stationing spaceships that is just like, don't attack with me. Put me in a deck with spaceships and don't attack with me. And if, God forbid, if your opponent has 0 to 1 creatures, then you can attack and get your free 4 damage. Fine. Great. Is this card...
Yeah.
Is this card... Is this card playable?
That's a really smart analysis. I really like that you've identified that.
Yeah.
I don't think it's playable.
No.
But yeah, love that you've read it like that.
I think Commander players will play this. I think this will be an utterly inoffensive card in the 99, and I think a bunch of I think every deck with spaceship in it and also black is going to play this, and I think that's fantastic.
Sure, good for crewing vehicles, I suppose, as well.
Yeah.
So if there's a deck that wants that sort of thing, and like crew 4 vehicles are often pretty
hefty,
pretty tough. Yeah, so maybe there's a home somewhere, but I doubt it.
Not in something competitive.
Correct. Yeah.
All right. I want to hear how you say this name.
Well, this is Zoatic Osteoharmonist. I'd never even looked at that before. There we go. 1 and a black for a 2/3 legendary human wizard. Tap, return target creature from your graveyard to the battlefield. It's a skeleton in addition to its other types and has no abilities. Activate only as a sorcery. My poor Atraxa.
Your poor Atraxa. My beautiful Death's Shadow.
Correct. Yeah, so if you've got some sort of creature that's got a hefty downside that you can remove with this, such as just having your 1 mana 13/13, that's interesting. If this was 1 or 2 mana, I could see that doing something. Not a 3 mana, though.
No. At 3 mana, this competes with so many cards. It really feels, watching sort of design over the years, like 3 mana black legendary is sort of a thing that they design for, and they try to make sort of a pseudo commandery thing to go in standard decks. This is just I can't imagine ever trying to build a deck around this card. I trust it about as much as I would trust a real life chiropractor.
Yeah, I like the card though. I like the design. I think it's really cool. Personally, I would love to be in the standard format where we could play this. I think we're a long way off that standard format, but I'd be happy if this was playable.
That's higher than I was going to give it, so I'm happy to do that. We've been putting a lot of cards down in actively makes your deck worse for black.
I'm so unhappy that white is just crushing things at the moment.
Look, you got consult the star charts. You don't get to complain.
All right, next up, we have 0 Point Ballad. X and a black for a sorcery. Destroy all creatures with toughness X or less. You lose X life. If X is 6 or more, return a creature card put into a graveyard this way. Return a creature card put into a graveyard this way to the battlefield under your control. Michael, why does this not just say -X, -X?
Because we really want indestructible creatures to hose black even harder. I feel like that's the answer.
Oh, right. Okay. All right. Sure.
Yeah, that's very disappointing.
Yeah. I don't think this is going to get there because sweepers that lose you life are often defeating the purpose of sweepers.
Yes.
The only catch is if there's a standard format where casting this for X equals 1 is relevant, I could see it potentially having some utility. But I think that's pretty narrow and pretty unlikely.
I think that casting this for X is 3 is going to be realistic, but it's going to be a hard world where your mono red player has just donked you with a Screaming Nemesis, and you've wrathed their Screaming Nemesis and the rest of their board, but you've still lost 3 life for the pleasure. Yeah.
Like, this card would have been totally fine without that lose X life.
Yeah, absolutely.
Text, and would have been an interesting black sweeper, not busted by any measure. That's really upsetting that they nerfed it that hard with that.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm gonna put it into just happy to be here, simply because that 6 or more rider is made for Commander games.
Correct.
Like it fundamentally, it doesn't really do what you want it to do in a competitive game, but at a Commander table, it's so much fun to wrath the board and say, before we go, everybody push the creatures that I've blown up into the middle, and I'm gonna pick my favorite one.
That is cool, yeah, and the life loss is much less relevant. With
Absolutely,
40 life
absolutely.
as well. So, yeah, I see the fun of this, and this could be really cool. Maybe that's why they did it that way. I don't know.
No, the life loss is inexcusable. There's no world where the life loss makes sense.
I love me a good black sweeper, and this was so close to being one.
All
right, we're on to your color.
Yes. Yes. Beautiful, beautiful red cards. Devastating Onslaught. A terrible red card. XX red. For a sorcery, create X tokens that are copies of target artifact or creature you control. Those tokens gain haste and sacrifice them at the beginning of the next end step. Now, I mean, this is bad, right?
I have a home for this. And I'm excited for this.
Oh, no.
The home
We are in the upside down.
The home is the Teamer Battle Crier Outcaster Trailblazer deck.
Oh.
So this is a bit of a, like a tier C deck, but it's one that I've been working on a bit with my brother, and it is extremely fun and extremely explosive when it goes off. So the idea is you get Teamer Battle Crier plus into play to make all your stuff cost at least 1 less. Get Outcaster Trailblazer into play. Now all of your stuff costs 2 less, and you get spotted a mana. So if you can play the Devastating Onslaught for, say, 2 with that mana discount, make 2 copies of each of them. Now all of your spells cost 8 less to cast. No, 6 less to cast. And you get spotted 2 more mana. Use that mana to funnel into another Devastating Onslaught, and off you go. The question is this better than Doppelgang for that sort of purpose?
Yeah.
And the answer is, for the purpose of just ending the game and killing your opponent on the spot in that particular circumstance, yes, this is better. Doppelgang can just make 2 copies of your opponent's Overlord of the Mistmoors.
Doppelgang does also make copies of multiple creatures, which is an important upside compared to the 2 of them.
Yeah. So it's probably not good.
Yeah.
But I can see some niche homes with it in certain types of combo deck.
Here's what I want to say here. Here's what I'm saying. I'm going to put this in. I want to live in the world where this is competitive, because I can easily imagine where you gave me that whole spiel, but Doppelgang didn't exist. We're comparing this to Doppelgang, which is probably one of the best X-copying cards ever printed.
Yeah.
And I think that should be recognized, that anything that's in discussion, like with actual comparison with an incredibly good card, deserves to be noted as good itself.
Yep. And an incredibly fun card. Doppelgang's one of my favorite cards they've printed in recent years.
Absolutely.
It is just hilarious.
Yes.
And I think this could do similar shenanigans. So I've got my fingers crossed on this one. I really hope it gets there.
Yeah. All right. Memorial Vault. 4 mana artifact. Tap, sacrifice another artifact. Exile the top X cards of your library, where X is 1 plus the mana value of the sacrificed artifact. You may play those cards this turn. Samuel, why this turn? Why can I not play the cards that I impulse with this on my opponent's turn?
Why do I have to pay their mana cost? That's the real jip here.
I know, right? This is an absolute train wreck of a card. I look at this card and I think, perfect. I will feed my munitions tokens to it, and then I will draw a card additionally. And I can't even really do that because I'm only impulsing a single card on this turn, and I'm paying 4 mana upfront for the privilege.
This is yet another... There seems to be a lot in this set. Maybe there's a lot in every set of just 4 mana, do nothing past the turn, and then could potentially do something cool on the next turn.
Yeah, it's wild that on the turn that you play this, you can't draw a card off of it, because the card immediately disappears. Who designs who designs a card that way?
Yeah, unless you go digging for a Mox Opal or something, but this is not costed for them.
No.
So,
Unbelievable.
All of the... Oh no, Paradox Engine's banned in Commander, isn't it?
I believe so, yes.
Well, cool, there goes that idea.
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe this is a fun Commander thing, but it doesn't... This just looks bad to me.
Honestly, I I think that any deck that you tried to build around this card, you would replace this with anything else to achieve the same ends. I think this actively makes your deck worse.
Yeah. Compare this to Forge, where you get to just future sight the top of your library.
Yeah, absolutely.
Come on.
A famously fair card. Nova Hellkite. 5 mana, 4/5, flying haste. When it enters, it deals 1 damage to target creature an opponent controls. Warp for 3. I love this card, and I am probably going to play a copy or two in some mono red decks, because paying 3 mana to blap my opponent in the face for 4 and then have this as a card I can just recast later, that's pretty good.
Yeah, I think this is... First of all, I love that when you've been reading the red cards, you don't read the pips and the cost, because you're just assuming that your deck only has mountains in it. The quality of this card, I think, is just purely going to depend on how many 1 toughness important creatures there are in the format. Are there Llanowar elves you're trying to pick off? It's really nice at picking off the Inquisitor, I suppose, but the Inquisitor will make it cost 1 more anyway. That's why the Inquisitor's so good.
And so... if you pitch it to the Inquisitor, you can't warp it.
Oh, that's so huge. Oh, the Inquisitor's so brutal against warp creatures.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah, I
would
would never...
so much.
Pitching this to the Inquisitor is functionally discarding it.
Just exiling it.
Yeah.
Oh, gross.
Yeah.
If you start 1 damage to each creature, I'd be really hyped about it.
Oh my god.
Target creature... I don't know. You're the mono red expert. My feeling is this isn't good enough, but if I'll trust your judgment here.
Oh, see, here's the thing for me, is that I want to put this in competitive player, but what it's competing for space with in mono red decks is Screaming Nemesis, one of like a Goblin Chainwhirler level mono red all-star.
Yeah.
Like.
Yeah.
Truly insane. I would put... here's the thing. I'm going to put this in I Want to Live in the World where this tier is competitive. I would put this in competitive player if it dealt 1 damage to target creature, full stop. Simply because I would be able to ping my own Screaming Nemesis to get its life gain switch off effect.
Huge. Yeah, I agree.
But unfortunately, it doesn't. It has to target a creature an opponent controls, which is just ridiculous. Absolutely disappointing.
And speaking of Screaming Nemesis, check out Pain for All. This is 2 and a red for an enchantment aura that can only enchant your creatures. When this aura enters, enchanted creature deals damage equal to its power to any other target. And whenever enchanted creature is dealt damage, it deals that much damage to each opponent. We've got more stuffy doll deck fuel.
Yes. Unfortunately, terrible.
Correct.
Yes. These sorts of cards, this is similar in my mind to Moonlit Meditation. A card that really, it needs a good thing to go onto it, and then you need to pour fuel into the engine that you have created. This, at the very least, once you do that, probably ends the game. I mean, you put this onto a Screaming Nemesis, and then you target the Screaming Nemesis with self-destruct, and you have really... You've done a lot to the table.
That's cool.
Yes, it's very fun. Unfortunately, that's 2 cards that cost 3 and a card that costs 2. And it leaves you with nothing on board.
Yeah, not competitive in any way, but look, I've got all of the time in the world for the stuffy doll players in Commander, and I think this will be super sweet in those sort of casual decks. So I'm all for it in Commander.
Yeah, this is so close. I will be honest, this is so close to actively makes your deck worse. I think it does just enough that it makes it into just happy to be here. And cards like this feels like a student who's just barely passed, and they've had to have a sit down with the teacher, and the teacher is like having to have a conversation and be like, I don't think you understand what failing actually means for your life.
Yeah, this is like, you actually got 49 out of 100, but I gave you a mark and hope nobody else noticed.
Yeah, and we need to... I wrote down on my personal notepad, I needed to talk to this student. because this is going to get worse before it gets better.
Yep.
I'm sorry.
Totally fair.
I'm sorry if I've gone too close to home.
All right, Possibility Technician, 2 and a red, 3/3. This is a Carvu Artificer. Carvus are back. Let's go. Whenever this creature or another Carvu you control enters, exile the top card of your library. For as long as that card remains exiled, you may play it if you control a Carvu. Michael, do we live in Carvu tribal standard?
We do not. However, I just want to address something here. This is card advantage in mono red, which is a wild thing that is not normal and should be treated with respect and caution. Because this is, if you play it for 2 and then you play it for 3 afterwards, this feels dangerously close to a Muldrifter in red.
If you squint and kind of tilt your head a little bit, but hey, you've piqued my interest.
Now, have you also considered what happens if you have one of these on the board and you play a second one?
Oh, we storming off, bro.
Yes, that is the point. That is the point when you're playing this in multiples in a nice 60 card format, a nice mono red deck where you start going, oh, this is actually generating quite a few cards, and if we have any other Carvu that's playable in a mono red aggro deck, this is going to be extremely relevant in, at the very least, best of 1 competitive. I don't know how hostile, sideboard competitive is going to be to the mono red decks, but for me, this is a straight up competitive player.
Wow.
I think in multiples, it draws enough cards.
Okay. All right. That's more aggressive than I was going to give it, but I'm here for it, and I trust your judgment on the mono red cards. So yeah, let's go.
I really do think that something that even slightly resembles Muldrifter in mono red is like 5 alarm.
Okay. All right. I'm here for it. And yeah, look, you and I both started around Onslaught block, which was just after the original Carvus from Invasion.
Yeah.
So very fond memories. My box of 25-year-old chaff behind me is full of so many unplayable Carvus from Invasion block, and I love them. Okay, cool. All right, you've got me more hyped on this. You've definitely talked me up on it. All right, I'm now going to have my eye on if there are any more good Carvus as we go. This one certainly is, and this is Rust Harvester. This is a single red 1/1 artifact creature robot. That's the main reason why it's not a playable Carvu. It has Menace and 2-tap. Exile an artifact card from your graveyard. Put a +1/+1 counter on this creature. Then it deals damage equal to its power to any target. Is this going in mono red?
I can see a world where there is a deck that is mono red that is built around this card. Obviously not. Like, this is not a card that you just slot in to replace your Monastery Swiftspear. This is a card that you have to build entirely around. You know, you've got to fuel your graveyard just to activate it. But I do think that it is incredibly notable that you can buff this in other ways, and it's always hitting equal to its power. You know, you can haste magic this, you can opera this, and it's hitting face, it's hitting other creatures, and it's not sacrificing itself to do that. You know, this being able to pivot is incredibly good, and the fact that, like, it's consistently building up its power as it's pinging off threats to your life makes it incredibly good. I don't know what the rest of the deck looks like, but I feel like, given a long enough time frame, this will be a competitive player.
I mean, look, just point a Monstrous Rage at it, and then you can nug down something big, and you could even like feed the Corey Steelcutter out of your graveyard to get it going.
I feel like I'm being mocked.
No, I'm actually higher on this than you. I reckon this is I reckon this could very easily be the staple 1-drop for aggressive red decks, and I don't think you need to build around it that hard, because I think the bar for the 1-drop is not super high. And so I think like 1 mana 1/1 Menace is a totally fine stat line to begin with. And then if you've got 4 of this and then 2 more play sets of artifacts in your mono red deck, if you've just got a good artifact 2-drop, 3-drop, I think that's enough fuel, because the baseline on this is if you can exile one thing from your graveyard, you eat one of their 2 toughness things.
Yep.
And then the next time it's taken out a 3 toughness thing. And so anytime the mono red deck has a 1-drop where the opponent is thinking, I got to find a removal spell to get rid of this, that's terrifying, right? That was why Commander Faces Kazakhstan was so obnoxious. It was a 1-drop that you felt like you had to find removal for.
Yeah.
I'm quite high on this. Like you, I'm not quite sure what the rest of the shell looks like. It's probably going to depend on what other good aggressive artifacts we can find in Standard. But this is extremely powerful and does not need to be in an artifact only deck. I think if you've got just a bit of that flavor in your mono red deck, this is going to go hard.
Now, I'm going to ask you, as the player who is terrified of mono red, is this a design mistake?
I mean, look, I think any good 1-drop in red that means that people get to play mono red instead of fun decks is an inherent design mistake. If we all just got to play islands instead of mountains, the world would be a better place. So, yes. I could see it pushing up into there because there's like, I can't stress enough how awful Standard is. Not awful, but how obnoxious an experience it is when the 1-drops demand removal, because the 1-drop removal in Standard is usually not very good. So yeah, this is either tier 2 or 1, and I'm down for it to be a design mistake. This seems really powerful.
I think I've put it in design mistake, and I look at it next to the cards in that tier, and I think that's, given what you've said about it, I think it's absolutely correct.
Totally fair. Yep. Respect it.
Speaking of design mistakes,
go for it.
It's Tanuk, Steadfast Second, a card that goes infinite in a stiff breeze. 2 and 2 red for a 3/5 legendary cavalry pilot. Now I'm hyper aware of the fact that I wasn't saying pips before. Other creatures you control have haste. Artifact cards and red creature cards in your hand have warp 2 and a red. Sam, is there a way to play this that's not unhealthy? Like,
so the 2 first things I want to point out is they were absolute cowards for not letting me put Omniscience into play for 2 and a red. Absolute cowards, and I've lost all respect for them. Second thing, I figured out why Atraxa wasn't red. It's the only color Atraxa isn't. They looked into the future and they said, we can't let people have Atraxa for 2 and a red. I think you're higher on this than me. Do you want to talk about this first?
I'll be honest. This I have more problems with this from a design perspective than I do from a competitive perspective. I think the fact that it costs 4 and then you have to pay 3 for all of your warp effects is quite a meaningful amount of mana that you have to go through. I think the fact that it hits so many cards, like famously, artifacts are, there are always rare and mythic giant artifacts that you're looking to cheat into play. And the fact that it then says other creatures you control have haste blanket is ridiculous. Like, the card doesn't need that line of text. Even if it is cheating these things in, I feel like it should be putting haste on the things that it is warping into play. But again, these are considerations as a designer, as a person who wants to, like, think about, okay, I'm making a card that's going to go in a deck. I have to think about what are the other cards that are going to go in decks. Traditionally, you would want a deck that's racing stuff out to then also need to look somewhere else for a haste enabler. This being a haste enabler is part of what makes it so good.
I think the best comparison for this is actually the Perforos from Theros Beyond Death, the sneak attack Perforos. And this is very similar. This is kind of 4 mana and 3 mana for a sneak attack style effect. Perforos was never any good in any constructed format, but I believe is a very popular commander.
Yes.
So I think I'd put this in the commander tier, and I think this would be really popular and fun for the people that like doing sneak attack sort of things. And this has an interesting twist on it where you don't get to take advantage of big deaths triggers, but you could still potentially cast the thing later.
Yes.
So that's a cool twist. It might mean those decks get built a little bit differently. So I'm less offended by this than you, and I love some kind of cheaty face sort of cards.
Yes, famously.
Let me put omniscience into play with this. Cowards. All right.
Are you the...
Next up,
sorry. I have to recall this story. When we did that Unhinged draft, were you the one who cheated a cheaty face into play off of a booster tutor? Was that you?
Sounds like it, yeah.
It was... I just remember somebody played booster tutor, and they laid out all of the cards of the booster on the table, picked their card for booster tutor, and then picked them all up, except the cheaty face, and then pointed out the cheaty face after the card was done resolving. And we were all like, you son of a bitch! How did you cheat it in from outside the game?
Incredibly funny. I don't think that was me. That is absolutely hysterical. I was the one that snuck it into an unstable game.
I mean, that's good. That's very good.
Just absolutely high quality. All right, next up. We've got Terminal Velocity. This is 4 red for a sorcerer. That's not a good start.
No.
You may put an artifact or creature card from your hand onto the battlefield. That permanent gains haste, and whenever this permanent leaves the battlefield, it deals damage equal to its mana value to each creature. And at the beginning of your end step, sacrifice this permanent.
This after Tannock really puts it into perspective that this is not a good card.
Yeah.
It's although, you know what, I want to see the Dinosaurs player who has the cojones to put a Gulter onto the board with this, play a bunch of dinosaurs, and then just board wipe the entire table, including everything that they cheated out. The dinosaur is the meteor now. I think outside of making meme-worthy moments like that, this card is objectively bad.
It absolutely makes your deck worse, but that's extremely funny, and I hope someone does that.
Yeah. This is the way that we cope with terrible cards being in our rare slots of our boosters. We're opening packs hoping for shock lands, and we're getting Terminal Velocity, and all we can do is joke.
Oh. Yeah, that's a real feels bad, isn't it?
Oh, all right. Different card. Warmaker Gunship. 2 in a red. Spacecraft. With an enters the battlefield effect. Oh my god, we're off to a good start. When this spacecraft enters, it deals damage equal to the number of artifacts you control to a target creature an opponent controls. It doesn't even go to face.
Yeah. So the thing that's interesting about this one is effects like this are often in the context of your ability to either pick it up and replay it, or flicker it, or copy it, or even just sacrifice the artifact once you're done with it, right? Normally that we see that at like 2 mana.
Yep.
There's a bunch of those, kind of edict sort of things in standard where you edict them and then sack the enchantment. So I think like on its own merits, it's not good enough. But if you've got ways to do any of what I just described in an artifact-based control deck, which we do have in standard, I'm interested.
That's true.
Right? If you play this after a Simulacrum Synthesizer, get a 3/3 along with it. That's more a point in Simulacrum Synthesizer's favor. But,
yep.
I'm actually not too low on this.
My hot take, and I have been a detractor of the Simulacrum Synthesizer deck ever since it first showed up on the scene. I think people really, really think that deck is better than it is, and they just want it to be good. I think that any card that maybe goes in a Simulacrum Synthesizer deck is just happy to be here at best. I don't know that there's a world where I'm ever paying the 6 station to turn this into a creature. And I don't know that conditional amounts of damage for 3 mana is ever something that I'm going to want to rely on in my control deck.
I think that the artifact deck... Okay, I was with you. I used to think it was not a real thing. One of my teammates leading into the last RC declared to us all that he was playing this deck, and we were never taking him off it. And we said, "Cool, you do you." And then he top 16'd the RC.
Whoa.
And he was already going to the Pro Tour because he qualified also with a meme deck at the previous RC.
Oh
and
no, he's one of those players.
Correct, yeah. But he played the Blue White Artifacts deck at the PT, his first PT, and made day 2 and finished the whole event with an even record. I know this is just one example, but the deck is now much more real in my eyes. And if we can get red mana into it, I think this is the sort of card that it would be interested in. The deck would be interested in this sort of card.
Yeah.
So maybe I'm being too generous to call it competitive, but I would lean towards that too.
How about, can we split the difference and we put it in I Want to Live?
All right. Yep. With our own individual takes. Indicated there. Yeah, cool. That one's really interesting. I'm really curious to watch that one.
Yeah.
Hay happens to go well with our 1 mana idiot that we were interested in as well.
Yes. And speaking of things that go well with our 1 mana idiot, weapons manufacturing.
Let's go.
Whenever 2 mana, 1 and a red for an enchantment. Whenever a non-token artifact you control enters, create a munitions token, which is when this token leaves the battlefield, it deals 2 damage to any target. It does not have a self-sack, but that doesn't matter. We all understand what the goal here is. Make a grenade. I love this. I love that Food Fight is in standard. This is a deeply meme deck. Because neither Food Fight nor Weapons Manufacturing actually trigger each other. These are all cards that still require some external source of non-token artifacts. But, I mean, play these with Rust Harvester.
Right? Like, Rust Harvester into the Warmaker Gunship with Weapons Manufacturing, like, even just those couple on their own, that's real. And you just need an artifact sack outlet in the deck to go with it all. I'm glad they powered this at 2 mana. Higher, it would be completely unplayable. I'm interested at 2 mana.
Yeah.
I don't quite know what we're doing with it, so that might just put it in tier 3. But this has the power to be really strong. I
do think the fact that this is much like those cards that you've decried for being 4 mana and then they do nothing on the turn that they come into play. I think this being 2 mana and then doing nothing on the turn it comes into play is rough. And it does being 2 mana, it makes it easier to be in the space with the Lumen class Frigate, where you play it and then you play something else to immediately trigger it. But I don't think that this goes in competitive play. I think if either of us immediately saw a real deck for it, I would be happy to put it there. But I think maybe this is just in tier 3 out of our personal failings.
Yeah, and this one certainly gets more interesting in older formats as well, where you've got more and cheaper artifacts, including Moxen.
Yes.
And more and cheaper sack outlets. So I could easily imagine that there's a modern deck where you just burn your opponent out on turn 3 with this. So I'm sure Aspiring Spike will be working on that. If I can spot it within the first week of the format, I'll pop it up on our channel as well.
Yes.
I'm very interested in this, but yeah, I'm fine with your assessment there.
Would this have gone in your Underworld Breach deck? That was looping 0 mana real artifacts, wasn't it?
It was, yeah. I mean, that's real, right? Like, yeah, if you've got a deck that can be doing grinding station sort of loops, and then your grinding station suddenly turns into a machine gun to wipe out your opponent's stuff.
Yeah.
Breach is very reasonably banned, but grinding station is still legal. So this is costed to move, and I think this could do a lot of good work.
Absolutely. All right, into green.
All right, I'm going to take over. We've got Bioengineered Future. This is 1 green for an enchantment. When this enchantment enters, create a lander token, and then each creature you control enters with an additional +1/+1 counter on it for each land that entered the battlefield under your control this turn. Michael, do you know the first card I thought of when I saw this?
Hardened Scales.
No, Scoot Swarm.
Oh, you monster. Oh.
In addition to having so many creatures I need scientific notation to represent them. I also want them to be so large that I need scientific notation to represent
Just
them.
play coat of arms like a regular mathematician.
I think this is just Commander fuel, but it looks very fun.
I agree. In my personal evaluation of the card, I noted that I can't think off the top of my head if we've ever had the second half of this card before.
Yeah, not to my knowledge.
Which is funny because it means that there was almost certainly a point in design where somebody thought up this effect and they went, oh wow, that's a great generic card. Let's not spend printing this as a generic card in this set, and we'll save this as a effect we can print with set mechanic in future. And so they stuck set mechanic on it.
Sure. Yeah. And no doubt we'll get that text on a creature at some point in the future as well.
And I think anything that's X with set mechanic, even if it's a brand new effect, unless that effect is going to turn out to be wildly broken, which I don't know that this is, it's a nice commander card meant for making life better.
Yeah, if this was cheaper, I could see it maybe. Like, you can easily imagine situations where, yeah, you can make 30 land drops in a turn, right? Something like the old Temur Analyst deck would do that sort of thing. It just didn't want a 3-mana enchantment win condition type thing. There's just better ways you can make use of lots of land drops like that.
Absolutely.
But cool card.
All right.
Speaking of land stacks, oh my god, Famished Worldsire, 5 triple green for a Leviathan. It has Ward 3, it's a 0/0, but has Devour Land 3, which means as it enters, you can sacrifice any number of lands, and then it enters with 3 times that many +1/+1 counters on it. When it enters, look at the top X cards of your library, where X is this creature's power. Put any number of lands from among them onto the battlefield tapped, then shuffle. So just for an example, if you've got 5 lands in play and you sacrifice all of them, then this will come in as a 15/15, and then you look at the top 15 cards of your library and can put any number of lands from there onto the battlefield tapped.
Oh, it's so beautiful. Scapeshift is now for cowards. I love this card. I love this card so much. It's such a shame that it costs 8 mana. Like, truly, Scapeshift being 4 mana really shows you where these sorts of big Scapeshift style effects want to be mana-wise. I think by the time you're getting to 8 mana with this, you're sacrificing... If you sacrifice all of your lands, you're just turning your deck upside down and getting every land remaining in your deck and putting it on the field. And then, like... what's the point in playing additional copies of this card? And if I'm not playing additional copies of this card, then obviously it's for Commander.
The only exception is Modern Amulet Titan, where this is interesting. So Modern Titan is currently playing 4 copies of Scapeshift, which is a fairly new development. It wasn't doing that a few years ago. So it is actually now very much a Scapeshift deck. And this can be Green Sun Zenith 4.
Oh my.
So that's why you only need 1 in the deck. So that's interesting. Counterpoints against that, it's 8 mana, not 6. And that is a pretty relevant distinction with how the deck is built to get Primeval Titan onto the board.
Yeah.
And the deck often actually doesn't have that many lands in play, unless it's gone off, because it plays so many Lotus Fields and Ravnica bounce lands.
Yeah.
And the deck is built as a toolbox deck, so you can just go through the deck for the particular things that you need to continue comboing. So this could technically whiff if you only sacrifice like 3 lands off it. But I reckon people will test it. And it could get there, and I hope it does, because that's really cool. And I love that deck has moved more towards a toolbox deck with both the lands and the creatures now with Green Sun Zenith. So the deck has typically played like 1, maybe 2 non-Primeval Titan payoffs. Recently it's been either Lumra or Cultivator Colossus. So could this go in that slot? Maybe. So I've got my eye on it just for that deck.
Fascinating. I love it. That really makes me want to put it in the I want to live tier.
Love it. Yep. Textbook.
Absolutely. Oh, right.
All right. Next up, we've got Frenzied Baloth, green for a 3/2 beast. It can't be countered. It has trample and haste. Creature spells you control can't be countered, and combat damage can't be prevented.
Questing beast, my beloved. You're back. I can even hit you off of Gyruda like the original questing beast.
That's so silly.
I love this card. I love this card so much.
I'm usually pretty skeptical of these like 2-mana kind of overstated green things because they don't often get there. I think this one's real. This one looks good.
This is so real. Absolutely, it is. Oh.
Yeah, that's a bunch of powerful lines of text.
Yeah,
and it's on a 2-drop. So I don't know if we're going to have a green stompy deck in standard. We do have Llanowar Elves in standard, which is a pretty good sign for that sort of deck. So,
ironically, it makes this more awkward to play because you want to be really trying to line up that 1/3 payoff. But maybe you play this and a second Llanowar Elves.
Yeah, or just like play 2 of them on turn 3.
Yes.
So I'm hyped on this. I think this will be really strong. I could see this hitting older formats as well. This is powerful.
Yeah, I don't know that this is a design mistake. I know that there are going to be older players who are frothing at the mouth, not calling this a design mistake, because they hate efficient green creatures. But I am a famously fair and unbiased person who is not affected by nostalgia.
The other thing about this is if control, I would have preferred if this was more of a sideboard card, because if this is just a very common main deck card, it's really just going to push control out of the format. Whereas if this existed as a safety valve, in case control gets really powerful in the format, I would like it more. But minor quibbles, this will see a lot of play, I think.
I think this is going to get really well held in check by the fact that it has 2 toughness, which means it's going to get removed by a lot of 1-mana removal. I think the multiple lines of anti-counterspell are a bit of a screen for what this card, the way that you would actually deal with this card, which is
it's not that the card can't.
Yep. Oh no, he's gone.
Tell me when I'm back.
You're back.
Still picking me up.
You're back.
Sounds like a you problem again. Cool. Yeah, to be clear, this is not something that just like hoses the control deck. It's just really annoying because the control deck wants the play pattern of pass on turn 2, counter your 2-drop, my turn 3, board empty, I can stock up. That's what it wants to be doing.
Oh, I see.
You know,
I'm not familiar enough with stock up to understand these things.
And so if you pass the turn and they play a thing that can't be countered, you're like, oh my god, okay. Well, not only am I taking a bunch of damage here, I'm now going to spend next turn having to get rid of this.
Yes.
Instead of furthering my own card advantage plan. So it's not that it's a hoser. It's nothing like that. It's just annoying. Yeah, I like why we went with that.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh my god, I'm so excited for this next one.
Yes.
Ice Till Explorer, 2 green for a 2/4 insect scout. You may play an additional land on each of your turns. You may play lands from your graveyard. And landfall, whenever a land you control enters, mill a card. That is the 2 most important lines of text for a lands deck.
Yep. Absolutely incredible. I immediately looked at this. I was like, I wonder if this goes in the top end in the standard Chocobo Tifa decks. And I imagined playing this and then on my next turn getting a Fabled Passage out of my graveyard and then getting the same Fabled Passage out of the graveyard again. And just being like, oh, that's horrifying.
Yep. And like, we've had both of those lines of text individually on other cards before, and they've been incredibly powerful. And
what in the world is happening?
Why would I pay 4 mana for this? Oh, you lost me again?
Oh, he's back.
Yep, you got me?
Yep.
Cool. Like some players might say, oh, like why would I pay 4 mana for this when I can pay much less for one of those 2 effects? The fact that they're on the same card is just awesome.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I'm 100% with you. In Standard, this is going to do cool things with Fabled Passage type lands. In very old formats, this is going to do disgusting things with Strip Mine and Wasteland.
Oh!
In
Design mistake. I cannot be negotiated down.
in Modern and Pioneer, I'm very hyped for what we can find to do with this. There'll be a lot of very cool things. This is one of my favorite cards from the set. This is going to be cool.
Oh. I forgot that Strip Mine and Wasteland exist. Oh. This is why I play Standard, so that I can forget these things.
Love it.
Oh. That was real. I didn't put that on.
All right. Much revulsion. All right. Do you want to read a few?
Yes. Loading Zone. A lovely, fair card. 4 mana for an enchantment. If one or more counters will be put on a creature, spacecraft, or planet you control, twice as many of those counters are put on it instead. Warp for 1. Sam, tell me Hardened Scales is real.
Yeah. So this is going to play a different sort of function to regular Hardened Scales. Like the card Hardened Scales you want to play on turn 1 and then ride its advantage over the next couple of turns. This is the card that you're going to just warp out for a single mana and do some nonsense with Arcbound Ravager and kill your opponent.
Yes.
Which is, it's just different to Hardened Scales, but it's very, very cool. And yeah, priced at 1 mana. Yeah, I can see things that we can do with it. And then the fact that if you find yourself in a grindier sort of game, yeah, just hardcast it and go to town. The one thing I'll note is that it doesn't double the counters that are put on artifacts. So if you're playing with the Ozolith, you don't get to like double dip in that way.
Yes,
but
all Planeswalkers, cowards. All of my Planeswalkers should have 1 green, immediately access my ult.
Thanks, Doubling Season, for that one. I'm sure Saffron Olive will be turning his Planeswalkers into artifacts, into creatures somehow. So yeah. No, yeah, this is cool. This is going to do varied and all very cool things.
Yes.
So I like this one a lot. I think it's constructed viable as well.
Yes. So, in terms of constructed viable, are we saying competitive player or are we saying tier 3?
Like, I don't quite know the home that it's going to take, but I feel confident enough in it that I'd call it a competitive player.
All right. I'm in a similar space here. I do think that it is a case of the only reason that there isn't currently a home for it is that it hasn't been printed yet.
Yeah. And like it might not be, like Standard might not be the place for it. But that's a powerful enough line of text that I'd be pretty confident in that one.
Yeah, absolutely.
Very cool card.
All right. Might Form Harmonizer, another 4 mana green warp card. 4 mana, sorry, Turi, 2 and 2 green, before I get called out again. For a 4/4 Insect Druid, landfall, whenever a land you control enters, double the power of target creature you control until end of turn. Warp, 2 and a green.
Do you want to combine this with Tifa?
See, here's the thing. Tifa already plays the Traveling Chocobo as a nice doubling the triggers effect. I feel like this competes for space with those Traveling Chocobos. And I don't...
Ah, interesting. Okay.
I don't know that this would make it into the deck. And I mean, maybe it would, but then is it making it into the deck while also competing with Ice-Till Explorer? This is a situation where there's lots of options for that are around this card's function and its power level, and it makes me think, okay, this is like a comparing to Doppelgang situation. It should be in I want to live tier, but I'm willing to be negotiated maybe up.
Yeah, I'm not as familiar with the current Tifa decks that are in Standard, so I'm going to defer to your judgment.
You don't play enough best of one is the answer.
I played the correct amount of best of one, which is the same as I also commit exactly the amount of murder that I like committing. Yeah, this, like, again, you can see some sort of high synergy or combo uses for this, where it's not just like doubling your 3-drop or whatever. It's going to kill the opponent. But at that price point, is it best in class?
Yeah, that's the reality.
My feeling is probably not. But if you reckon this could go in the standard Tifa Chocobo deck, I'm happy to defer to you. I would love if this could see play. That looks very cool.
Yeah, I don't think this belongs below tier 3. More 4-cost green cards. If you told me that every green rare and mythic cost 4 except for Frenzied Baloth, I might have believed you. 2 and 2 green for Ouroborid. Yes.
Ouroborid? Yep.
Ouroborid. A 1/3 plant worm with, at the beginning of combat on your turn, put X +1/+1 counters on each creature you control, where X is this creature's power. I think this card is adorable, and it will never see competitive play.
I think this is the coolest name I've ever seen on a card. Ouroborid? That's dope. God damn, that's cool, and I want to pair it with Loading Zone and just go absolutely ham on people.
Yep.
Oh god, 4 mana 1/3 is such a hard sell though.
It's doubly hard because we have in Foundations, I believe, the 3 mana Landfall Hydra that doubles its power whenever you landfall. Like, and when this is outperformed by a Foundations card, you're having a bad time.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is definitely, like, I want to put this in I Want to Live, because I want to live in the world where a mythic rare from a new set is not outcompeted by a Foundations card. But I think realistically this is a just happy to be here. I think you play this because it's cute and it goes in a plant deck.
Yeah. Works with Insidious Roots.
Oh no. Does Insidious...
Hot.
That's right, Insidious Roots puts it on all plants, doesn't it?
Yeah. Oh my god.
Does this go... Is this a one-of in an Insidious Roots deck?
Probably not. This is the definition of I want to live in the world where this is constructed playable.
All right.
It's not, but goddamn, I wish it was.
All right. Let's move on to one of the most suspect-looking cards that I've ever seen. Sledge Class Seed Ship. And I would really, really like if these looked less like sperm. 2 and a green for a blank artifact. And I will never not refer to these spacecraft that way. Because that's what they are.
In the pre-release guide we just put out, we described them as Darksteel relics with nice art.
Darksteel relics indestructible. Station.
That's so true.
It's an artifact creature at 7+. This is a 3 mana artifact that doesn't switch on until you've pumped 7 power into it. And then when it does, it's a 4/5 with flying. With whenever it attacks, you may put a creature card from your hand onto the battlefield. Don't you love, Sam, when your card cheating engines just take so much time and effort to get online?
Yeah, let's compare this to Kona from Duskmourn. The dog that has the same line of text. That's a 4 mana 4/3 that can just drop a creature in when it is tapped. You don't even need to attack with it. Crew a vehicle or a station with it. That card is hideously unplayable. This card...
This is a trumped up uncommon. Truly.
I would be offended if they ever put an uncommon this bad in my limited format. This is an assault on dignity.
Yes, absolutely.
God, let it tutor up a land when it enters or something.
Yeah.
Like, give us something. Good lord, that's awful.
On the upside, neither of us are going to have to see the word seed ship very much in any of our formats.
Look, for the health of the jokes that get made on the draft punks, I think this is a very good thing.
Yes. All right, onto cool cards. Terra Symbiosis.
Good start.
2 and a green for an enchantment. You love a rare green 3-mana enchantment. Whenever you put 1 or more +1/+1 counters on a creature you control, you draw that many cards. Do this only once each turn. I love this.
Oh boy.
Oh. First of all, I can tell you right now, this is going in every commander deck that has any amount of green. This is
so true.
Commander players love value and they love +1/+1 counters. Like, commander players are the reason that green-blue draft archetypes are the way that they are.
Hey, I'm all for it. They've done great work with the green-blue archetypes lately, so thank you, commander players.
Yep.
Wow, what an interesting one. I don't know what the home it goes in is, but what I'm seeing is a lot of the hardened scales type effects that we've had in the past incentivize you to have lots of instances of put 1/+1 counter on something.
Yes.
Right, like hardened scales is great when you use Arcbound Ravager to sack artifacts one at a time. All of these cards are functioning where you want to put a large amount of counters on something in a single instance. It works with our doubling enchantment. That's how Ouroboros works. That's how this is going to work. So the fact that we've got all of these pieces working in that same direction, and there's a kind of some landfall stuff that can put big chunks of counters on creatures as well. I'm kind of seeing enough kind of pieces coming together here that this could work. I have no idea what it's going to look like right now. We just don't have the pieces in a deck at the moment.
Yeah.
But there's enough there that I'm getting quite interested.
I'm really loving the mental image of turn 3 Hydra. Actually, I suppose this doesn't really work. That's disappointing. Because I was thinking turn 3 Hydra, turn 4 this into land drop to double, but I guess that's only 2 cards.
Which is not bad as a way to make up for the fact that you've spent 3 mana not doing anything.
That is true. And then on the following turn, it is 4 cards. And then on the turn after that, it is 8 cards. Which is, that's pretty good. Is it competitive player, is my real question. I don't think so. I've lost him. He's gone. He's here.
Skin Veil. Uh-oh. You got me?
He's back.
Got me? Yep. I'll just say that sentence again. That single forest that you play, you pass the turn.
Yep.
Then on their turn, they try to remove it, and you protect it with a Snakeskin Veil, draw another card.
Oh!
Right? Like, the bar on 3 mana do nothing enchantment is high.
Yeah.
But the payoff on here is potentially very strong.
Yeah, this is holding that bar.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And then when we talk about like original Ozolith in older formats, where you can put just a big chunk of +1/+1 counters over in one go.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm interested. This might not be a 4 of. This might just be like a 1 of or a 2
valid.
That's exciting. I think that the chance for these sort of decks to draw a lot of cards is quite exciting. I'm not sure which. Yeah, I'm either going 2 or 3. I'll leave it in your good judgment.
I think we'll call it a competitive player. I'm happy to be optimistic.
I'm down. Yeah, I'm optimistic as well.
I think that observation you made that all of the support together might make a new kind of giant counter chunk deck.
Yeah,
that really pushed it for me.
Yeah, I hope we're right on that one because that looks very, very fun.
Yes. All right, into multicolor.
All right, let me tell you about Biotech Specialist. This is red-green for a 1/3. When it enters, we create a Hans Lander token, and whenever you sacrifice an artifact, this creature deals 2 damage to target opponent. I want to hear your thoughts first.
I want this card to be good, and I feel like it's yelling at me that there's a deck somewhere in that Rust Harvester food fight weapons manufacturing deck. My only issue is that's even more token artifacts. We're still not finding good artifacts to fuel this fire that we're going.
So there's 2 places my mind immediately went with this. One is that it just goes absolutely insane with treasure tokens. The fact that you can use your mana.
It does. Oh, that's horrifying.
You can use your mana generation to burn the opponent out.
Oh no.
Means it should not be hard to get a real engine going that will kill them very, very quickly.
Oh.
And the fact that it does a pretty similar thing with blood tokens, food tokens,
Yep.
whatever.
Oh.
This is exciting, and that's probably going to be the main way it gets used.
Yes.
But my mind immediately went to the Pioneer Igra decks.
Oh no.
I've spent a lot of time working on these. We've got a great video of it over on our channel if you want to go check it out.
Go check him out.
So that deck is extremely good. So the very common thing that it does is sticks a Cauldron Familiar in the graveyard and then holds priority and sacrifices a bunch of food all at once to get triggers off other things that are in the deck. If you're also burning your opponent out while you do that, that's insane. Every time you do the Cat Oven loop, you're getting an extra 2 nugs in there. And then if you've got Igra in play, even with just a single Cauldron Familiar, you could very realistically just burn an opponent out from 12 life or something.
That's wild.
Can we make the mana work in Pioneer? I'm not sure.
Well, Pioneer's getting shock lands.
Pioneer has had shock lands for a long time, mister. The 3-color mana in Pioneer is historically...
This is what I know about extended formats.
Oh my god. The shock lands aren't even... Oh, okay, anyway. The mana in Pioneer tends to be 2-color or 5-color. And there's no in between. So I'm not sure if we'll make the mana work, but man, this goes nuts with so many easy things that I'm tossing this pretty high up our list.
Yeah, I'm more than happy to put this in competitive player. I think this is very much like this. I can see a home for this deck. I personally don't know what that deck's going to look like, but I recognize that that's a personal failing.
I could even see this being in design mistake, because we haven't even got to the fact that it's 2 mana for 2 rectangles as well. Like it gives you a free artifact to start toying with already. So if you've got any sort of artifact sack deck going, it's also just fueling itself.
I keep coming back to whenever you use a treasure, it deals 2 to your opponent.
Yeah,
that just feels. You know what? That honestly, that feels like a design mistake. And honestly, that's a little bit like, I feel like treasures were maybe a design mistake on some level, but you making this design while treasures exist feels irresponsible. I'm happy to put it up. I'm
inclined to agree. I'm very surprised it doesn't say non-token artifact.
Yeah. I mean, at that point, would it even work?
Like, I think we would still be having the conversation. It would just be in a different context, right? We'd be talking about it with our Rust Duda, and like it'd be a different sort of deck. It'd be an artifact sacrifice deck.
Yeah.
Instead of spam a bunch of tokens and then use them all.
And then burn the opponent out in a single turn.
Right. Like, so the fact that it would be interesting even if it said non-token, and it's insane when we think about treasure tokens.
Yep.
2 rectangles for 2 mana, 3 toughness so it doesn't get torch the tower. Like, I'm high on this. Very high on this.
Oh, disgusting.
I feel like the Commander players are going to just go nuts with this as well.
Commander players cannot be trusted with good cards.
Correct. Next up, we've got Cosmoglyph. I'm very curious for your thoughts on this one. This is black-green for a star, 1+star. Its power is equal to the number of cards you own in exile, and its toughness is that number +1. How do we feel about Exile Glyph?
I feel like this is very in line with traditional Glyphs, which is to say that Tarmogoyf was an outlier and most Glyphs are bad.
Yeah, there was a period where 2 mana 4/5 was good. Like, Tarmogoyf was a $200 card for a long time.
Yeah.
I think that time has passed, but there is a line somewhere where 2 mana stats is good. I don't know where that line is. Like, if I said you can have a 2 mana 10/10, would you be interested?
I mean, I feel like I have to be at that point.
Yeah. The problem is that gets easier the older the format we go. So one of the stupidest interactions I've seen is with Serum Powder. If you just mulligan a hand away with Serum Powder, you don't even have to do anything in the game itself when you've already got 7 cards in exile.
Yeah, that's...
So then the question is it worth going to those lengths? You have to put serum powder in your deck. Is it worth that to have a 2-mana 7/7 or bigger? If like there's particularly stupid starts where you can get this to 20 power.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe. I think other people are higher on this than I am. But like in modern Territorial Karvu is effectively a 2-mana 5/5.
Yeah.
With the deck building cost of have Leyline of the Guild Pact in your deck and a slightly wonky mana base. And that sees a bunch of play.
Okay.
So is 2-mana 7/7 with the cost of you have to put Serum Powder and some other weird cards in your deck, is that worth it? My feeling is no. My feeling is that 2-mana stats is just not worth it.
Yeah.
But a lot of other people are higher on this than I am.
Yeah.
In Standard, I don't think there's the tools to,
No, certainly not.
to get this big enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I honestly, I can't, straight up cannot imagine a world where this is competitive and playable. And I don't even necessarily know that I want to live in the world where it's competitive, because this is a card where it being good is based around the fact that there's some cheat happening. And I'm happy if that doesn't infect my Standard.
Yeah.
And if you're turning around and telling me that, like, it's not gonna be a mover and shaker in larger formats, I'm more than happy to put it and just happy to be here.
Whew. It's hot and I kind of like it. Yeah, I kind of like it. I'm kind of happy to stand on that platform of big vanilla is just not good anymore.
No.
If it had just a little bit, if it had Ward 1 or something, just something else a little bit.
Trample.
Or, any sort of evasion would really go nicely. ETB Mill 2. Like, give me just a little bit of something and I'm on board.
ETB Mill 2 doesn't even make it bigger.
No, but it starts you start thinking, oh, okay, so I can combine it with my Soul Guide Lantern, and then it's kind of fueling itself with a little bit of extra help. I'm happy to stand on the hill that says stats on its own, that era has passed.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, next up we have Diadrine Synthesis Amalgam, X green and white for a 0/1 legendary artifact creature construct. Trample. Enters with a number of +1/+1 counters equal to the amount of mana spent to cast it, so not X, it's X +2. Whenever you attack, you may remove a +1/+1 counter from each of 2 creatures you control. If you do, draw a card and create a 2/2 colorless robot artifact creature token. Have you forgotten the start of the card by the time I got to the end of that?
I definitely, if I didn't play on Arena, where I get nice little icons, I would forget this card had Trample constantly.
Constructor playable? What do you reckon?
So this is a weird card where I look at it and my design brain says that rate wise it's fine and it does a thing, and it's right on the curve of like what I would be designing for a decent standard constructed card. But like if I was making this as a custom card, I would be assuming that I would make this card and then there would be some sort of synergy or like support for it. And I don't really feel like we've seen much of that. I don't know that there's a home for this.
Yeah, me neither. Oddly enough, the thing that it most reminds me of is something like Stone Coil Serpent, where you can just funnel a bunch. You can funnel X mana into an XX with Trample. One of the uses of a card like Stone Coil Serpent is the fact that it's colorless. So when you can generate a large amount of colorless mana, you can use it in that way.
Yeah.
So I'm less hyped on this. So as I was doing my initial set review, I would have chucked this in the Commander tier. The fact that we've just through this conversation started to be more interested in the like +1/+1 counter bomb deck with Terra Synthesis.
Yeah.
Hey, this is not a bad follow-up to the Terra Synthesis.
Yeah, play Terra Synthesis on 3, play this on turn 4, draw 4 cards.
Draw 4? This is starting to fit in with the shell they're kind of building here. So, Look, I would have started Commander, but I could be talked up.
I want to believe in this deck that you've pitched me, and I'm going to put it in the I want to believe.
Yep, cool. I'm down.
Absolutely.
All right, beautiful. All right, do you want to grab a few?
Yes.
Oh, you've got things to say about this one.
I mean, not this printing of the card. Xenomorph Imago. This card's printed correctly. I love that the term Xenomorph Imago looks so much like a name that the alt art of this card has a legendary frame. And it's that is what makes me realize that that's not a name. And I wouldn't have believed it otherwise.
It's extremely funny.
At some point in the future, I'm going to be putting together like a Magic trivia pub night. And I'm going to list a bunch of legendary creature names and then Xenomorph Imago. And I'm going to say, pick out the one of these that's not a legendary creature.
That's awesome.
And people are not going to get it.
I reckon it was legendary at one point, and they just took the legendary type off it and didn't change the name.
Must have. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Anyway, this is a 1/3 for a green and a blue with flying. Landfall, whenever a land you control enters, target creature has base power and toughness 3/3 until end of turn. If you control 6 or more lands, it has power and toughness 6/6 until end of turn instead. Sam, why can't this target lands?
Oh, that's such a good question. Yeah, why does it not turn my lands into 3/3s?
Yes.
That's what this card should do.
You're telling me that this I can look at this and I can see what the designers have as like an intended play pattern for it. It is you play this, and then on the next turn you play a land and it turns itself into a 3/3 flyer and does beat down related things in that way. Sure. It's so fair that it becomes unplayable.
I think I'm inclined to agree. Yeah, and blue-green is just a bit of a weird place for it, because this is not your traditional landfall card, right? Most landfall cards, you want to get lots of land drops in a single turn. This is asking to just be triggered once per turn for the most part.
Yeah, for every landfall trigger that you get with this, you need a whole new creature, which is wild.
Yes, and so, like, if this was mono blue, and then you've got, like, a mono blue fairy style deck where you play a 1-mana 1/1 flyer, and then just keep using this to like get all your little 1/1 fairies up to 3/3 and beat them down like that, I guess. But I can't see that happening in blue-green, so I don't think this is going to do anything.
The other thing is that even that deck that you've proposed, that's so slow. Like, this is such a good example of another card that is 2 mana, do nothing. Like, it's sitting here and it's what, a 1/3 flying blocker where you're hoping that something will at least bounce off of it in combat.
Yeah.
Just so disappointing. Is
the fact that there'll be cards like this that can just add power instead of make 3/3. Right? Compare this to Tifa, and it's just kind of a joke.
Yeah.
So I think even if there were an environment where this would be good, it will just not be best in class. So I don't think this is going to do anything.
I feel like, and this is where I'm going to really start pounding on this card, I feel like it's going to struggle to find homes in commander decks.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I don't think the commander players want this either.
Yeah, I think this actively makes your deck worse. I think it's not going to find any home in any standard deck, and I think any commander deck that would be considering it would really struggle to find any card that they would cut for this.
Agreed. Yes. Yeah. Like, yeah, even if you can do silly things with Scoot Squirm with it, like, there's just better ways you can achieve that sort of effect.
Absolutely.
So, get out of here.
All right. Speaking of giant, silly commander effects, Infinite Guideline Station. A card that notably does not go infinite. Wooburg, for a legendary spacecraft, when it enters, create a tapped 2/2 robot artifact creature token for each multicolored permanent you control. So you get at least one. Station 12+, it becomes a 7/15 flying with whenever it attacks, draw a card for each multicolored permanent you control. I will say this for the card, it does not say other. I have been disappointed in the past, as you can tell.
Okay, yeah. Look, I love me some 5-color nonsense cards. I've got more experience with Pioneer Niv than I think anyone on the planet.
Yep.
At least in non-commander formats, those kind of multicolor decks lean towards control, and it's mostly instants and sorceries that they're running. They don't tend to have a million multicolored permanents on the battlefield. So look, as prone as I am to try to make a Niv Mizzet sort of thing work in standard, and you and I were working on the Niv Mizzet Reborn deck for a while, which was amazing fun. I don't see this one.
I have so many thoughts about this card. I mean, immediate off the top of my head, why are the robots tapped?
Because it was obviously too powerful.
Yeah,
you could immediately turn this into a 7/15.
Or even just have blockers. Imagine spending 5 mana and getting blockers. That's just unacceptable.
Yeah. If the robots came in untapped, I'd be more interested in this. Then it would be worth building around.
And I will say this for the viewers who are sort of wondering about what makes this so terrible. I will say something that I've said elsewhere on this, which is that in a deck where you would play this, where you have a bunch of like different kinds of mana fixing, it's worth noting that the things that you have on the board when you play this are not generally multicolored. They're generally single or zero color mana rocks.
Yes. Yep.
So, like, if you try to picture what are the kinds of things that you would have on the board that this would be counting, you're actually really struggling. Like, unless you're actually imagining, a casual commander deck that's got a bunch of different multicolored, like, legends. In terms of practical things, you're playing this from a neutral position where you're not already on an established board. You're really only ever going to get a single tapped 2/2 out of this 5 mana spell. I'm going to put this in commander cards because it clearly is, but I feel generous doing that.
Yeah, I agree. In Pioneer Niv, for example, which is actually becoming a little bit more of a board presence sort of deck because it runs 4 Up the Beanstalk, 4 Fable of the Mirror Breaker, 4 Sylvan Caryatid or Ancient Cornucopia, and 4 Leyline Binding, which are exactly what you just said, monocolored.
Yep.
So it will take a completely different sort of deck to make this get there. There is precedent with Niv Mizzet Reborn for paying 5 mana for a thing that could potentially just get removed, but it generates such an enormous amount of card advantage that it's worth it. And so even if this does get removed, if you can make 6 2/2s, there's something there, but I don't know how you do it. So I like your placement.
All right.
All right, I'm going to talk about Mutinous Massacre. Mutinous Massacre is a 3 black, red sorcery. Choose odd or even. Destroy each creature with mana value of the chosen quality, then gain control of all creatures until end of turn. Untap them, they gain haste until end of turn. Reminder text telling us that litigating that 0 is even.
Before I get into this card, you are the singular actual mathematician that I know. Is that true?
Yeah, it is.
Okay, good. Because I've never actually asked that of a mathematician before, and I kind of wanted it to be untrue.
Yeah. Even just means if you divide it by 2, you get another whole number.
Ah, okay.
So 0 divided by 2 is 0, which is in fact a whole number.
Nice.
So yes, it is true. But I really enjoy that occasionally Wizards litigates mathematical facts.
Yes.
In its reminder text. There's one in an unset that says that pi is approximately 3 or something.
Yep.
Which just offends me in many ways. I look forward to the day where they reminder text litigate a mathematical fact that's just false. It's going to be really funny. The memes that Zimone created, where you can engineer a situation where you have infinite if and only if the to date unproven twin prime conjecture is true.
Oh, I love that.
Absolutely hilarious. So, look. I love this sort of thing.
Look, if there's one way to get people outside of mathematics to contribute work hours into mathematical proofs. It's putting it in card games.
Yeah. I agree. Yeah. Yeah, that's very cool. This card looks very cool in Commander, and I don't think it's doing anything in Constructed.
No, I think this card should straight up have been printed in a Commander deck. I think it's actually a bit of a waste that it wasn't, because it means that this will actually see play in fewer Commander games, where this is actually very fun. The play pattern of this in a 2-player game, very straightforward, very boring, really not worth 7 mana. Really not worth 7 mana, because you're either plague winding your opponent or leaving them with a bunch of creatures and you really don't want to do that for 7 mana unless you're killing your opponent, which is, again, like, there's so many moving parts of this card, and in a one-on-one game, you want a card that operates as consistently as possible. In a Commander game, there is a non-zero chance that you can look at the board and engineer such a position that you destroy all of the creatures of the player on your right, you steal all of the creatures of the player on your left, and then you attack the player across from you.
Yeah.
And then you hand all the creatures back to the player on your left, and that... Like, there's a very real world where that person doesn't then crack back at you because they respect the play.
Yeah.
And that's wonderful, and that's why cards like this need to be in Commander decks, because, like, those experiences need to be shoved into the hands of players. Again, there were players who needed to be forced to attack with Annihilation-bearing Eldrazi. There are going to be Commander players who don't know that this card exists, and that's so sad.
Yeah, love how you put it. Chuck it in the Commander tier. Yeah,
absolutely.
I co-sign all of that.
Yeah.
All right, next up, we've got Pinnacle Emissary. 1 blue and a red for an artifact creature robot. It is a 3/3. Whenever you cast an artifact spell, create a 1/1 colorless drone artifact creature token with flying, and this token can block only creatures with flying, and it has warp for a single hybrid blue-red mana.
This card...
I want to hear your thoughts first.
If there's not some kind of infinite loop with this card, at the very least in multiples, I will be flabbergasted. Just the idea that you could play this and then play a second one of these and have 2 of these and a drone, and all of them are untapped artifacts that can be spent on various things. This is just such a card that I look at this and this is like a volatile chemical just waiting to be turned into some sort of explosive.
Yeah, so I'm very high on this. I'm very, very excited for this. This is going to go really well in the modern Tamio Emery decks that are already playing 4 Mox Opal, 4 Mox Amber, 4 Mishra's Bauble.
Yep, there we go.
So even if you've just got a hand where you just run this out on, doesn't have to be turn 1, but some turn, and then just dump all of your zeros into play, that's exciting.
Yep.
Before we even get to hard casting it.
Yep.
Which I think is completely real. I have to mention the first constructed video that's going to come out on Punks with the new set is going to have this. Because I have already been working on, and you guys are the first to hear this, I've been working on a modern paradoxical outcome deck. And this is perfect.
Ooh.
Perfect for that.
Oh, beautiful.
So I think what I've just described is only scratching the surface.
Yeah.
I think this is going to do a lot of things in a lot of formats. Vintage already plays lots of zeros and paradoxical outcomes, so it seems like a shoe-in in that format, even if it's a bit of a silly format. This is going to do lots of things in lots of formats. I'm very excited about this.
Here's the thing for me. This is obviously a competitive card, and what pushes it into design mistake for me is the fact that this triggered ability should cost a generic mana. It should just cost 1. Like, that would make it a fair card.
Don't be a spoil sport. Let people have fun.
Look, I don't control the cards that get made. I'm merely talking about what's actually, like, safe to print. And this is, whenever you have trigger generation of some kind that's free, that has no limit, I mean, we've established that that's going to go straight into design mistake before we even get into the fact that you can start this off for a single mana.
Yeah, and put it together with our little Rust fellow up in the top tier as well.
Yeah,
I could see this happening in standard as well. So if you've got a sack outlet, so that you can warp this, play some artifacts, make 3 drones or something, then sack this to the sack outlet so it's in your graveyard. Then you can chew it up with the Rust guy.
Yep.
The gears are turning, and it's all cheap. Yeah, big player.
Devastating.
All right, in a much less interesting color pair, we've got Ragost, Deft Gastronaut. What a name. Red and a white for a 2/2 legendary creature. Lobster Citizen. Do you need me to go again?
No, it's all right.
I'm just going to start that again. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I could, yeah.
All right. In a much less interesting color pair, we've got Ragost, Deft Gastronaut. Red and a white for a 2/2 legendary Lobster Citizen. Welcome to Magic 2025. Artifacts you control are foods, in addition to their other types, and have the usual food ability. 1 tap, sacrifice a food. Ragost deals 3 damage to each opponent. And at the beginning of each end step, if you gained life this turn, untap Ragost. Is this a thing? This is obviously good commander food.
Yeah.
Is it doing anything in constructed?
I don't know that it is, simply because I feel like our weapons manufacturing, Rust Harvester type decks are going faster than this guy lava spiking once a turn.
Yep, I agree. And turning all your artifacts into foods is a really interesting and powerful line of text. That would be good if this card was green.
Yeah.
Like, if this was a Golgari card, then I'm much more interested, right? Pairs with Igra and does really cool things. I don't know how red-white takes advantage of that. So I'm sure this will do really cool things in casual formats. I don't see how to use it in regular formats.
I think this card could be red-green, and there would be absolutely 0 issues with color identity.
Mm-hmm.
I can't see any problems with that.
Print it in black-green and make it... Each opponent loses 3 life instead.
Yep. Unbelievable.
Yeah, it seems a bit weird. Like, it's not like red-white is a food deck as it is. Bit strange.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm not quite sure what we're doing with this.
I mean, we're putting it in Commander tier.
That's exactly what we're doing. You are so smart, Michael. All right, I'm giving back to you. I don't want to read another red-white card. I think the police have been called. That card is so bad. My goodness. Oh, jeez. I hope they don't knock on my door after that.
I'm going mad. All right. Sammy Wildcat Captain, poster child for the story, which I'm sure we're all deeply familiar with in this set. 4, a red and a white, for a 4/4 with double strike and vigilance. Quite a beefy human. And spells you cast have affinity for artifacts, that's a line of text.
That's a really powerful line of text.
It's a shame it's on a 6-drop that doesn't reduce itself.
That's it. So I don't know if older formats want to try to cheat this into play somehow, like sneak attack it in for a turn and then affinity off. That sounds like a lot of moving parts for a questionable payoff. So I think the commander players can go have a great time with this. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
We're paying 6 mana for anything that resembles this.
I feel like this is a victim of the fact that it wants to be a big, 4/4 double strike vigilance, like a big threat card. It's almost turned giving your spells affinity for artifacts into trinket text, which is an insane thing to say.
That's a great way of looking at it, honestly. Yeah. Because the other end of the spectrum is it was a 2 mana 1/3 or something, but then that affinity line is extraordinarily powerful.
Yeah.
And it seems difficult to balance it either way. If they made it a whole bunch cheaper and gave them all improvise instead of affinity, hey, that sounds more interesting.
Honestly, yeah. But I mean,
not for us. But hey, go nuts if you're a red-white artifacts player.
Go off, commanders. All right. Oh, that's terrible.
Next up. All right, better color pair now. Singularity Rupture. 3 blue, black, black. For a sorcery, destroy all creatures, then any number of target players, each mill half their library, rounded down.
I love this.
Go off, talk about mill.
So this is terrible in mill. I think traumatized effects are bad, and you should never play them because you can never kill an opponent with them. Definitionally, like, why does this round down instead of rounded up? That feels rude. But I agree. I love the idea of a wrath that lets me then mill half of my library and do the equivalent of drawing cards that way.
Sure. Yep. So if you got any sort of like graveyard synergy deck that's in the market for a sweeper, if you can dump half of your deck into the place where you want the cards anyway, while also clearing the board. Yep, I'm with you. God, could they make it 5 mana?
Honestly, I would love that. Commander players would be so upset because man, they do not like getting milled at all.
They really hate it.
A board clear that tells the entire table to mill half their library, where maybe 1 or 2 players at the table understand that you're giving them a gift. I'm giving them access to so many more cards. But people are going to think that this is an insult. And that's so disappointing. And that's why Magic needs to be taught in schools.
I couldn't agree more. It's such a funny part of mill is that some people just experience it as traumatic.
Yeah,
if you can excuse the term. When in fact it is a benefit to you.
Yes,
but it's such an interesting thing. So I don't think this is going to get there in constructed 6 mana is too much for sweepers. But hey, commander players,
I honestly,
go nuts.
Yeah. Even I've put it in makes your deck worse because I think that playing this in Commander, as much as it's costed around being played in Commander, I cannot support actually being rude in Commander on camera. I cannot support it on camera.
You and I would have different approaches to that format.
Very much.
Adrian and I have a plan for if we ever get invited onto Tolarian Community College or any of those other kind of
any of those command zone
programs.
Yeah.
We've got a plan for if we get invited on there.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to say what it is here, but it is not polite.
Oh no. Anyway, right. Speaking of not polite, we have Space Time Anomaly. Probably my least favorite card of the entire set. I name dropped Hope S-Time earlier as a card that is enabling a new kind of deck, which is deeply, deeply non-proactive life gain. So this is 2, a white and a blue for a sorcery. Target player mills cards equal to your life total. This is just... I don't like that this exists.
Sounds like you don't like it because it's an offensive design. I don't like it because it's atrocious.
Here's the thing. Well, I agree. It's bad. And the realistic part of this is that it's bad in the same way that, like, Lava Axe is bad. Like, that's a card that it doesn't interact with the board. It only matters if you remove the last point of the life total that you are targeting. But the play pattern encouraged by this of just sit back, actively like gain life, and then attempt to space-time anomaly somebody for like 30 or 40 is so boring, and the idea of playing against that is just so unfun. I dislike this card so much. I know that decks are going to be made around it. I know that Hope has just been printed. I know that this is being printed directly as fuel for that deck that I know that, the Magic designers recognized. And Just that upsets me.
I don't think you'll have to worry about that. I think if this cost just white-blue 2 mana, it would still be unplayable.
Woof.
Because, like, if you've got your big crazy life gain deck like that, you don't want to play this card that does nothing except act as a win condition for 4 mana. Compare this to the People's Laser, Aetherflux Reservoir.
Yep.
Which also kills people once you've got 50 life, but it helps you get there.
That's true.
And is never played anywhere except in Storm decks.
That's true.
So
this
ain't doing anything.
True. Is your opinion of this card brought down somewhat by your famed dislike of win conditions, though?
I mean, the reason I dislike... not to go on a giant rant here, but if you've got a combo deck of some kind, you don't want a card in your deck, especially if it's expensive, that doesn't do anything except win the game once you've executed your combo. You very rarely want cards like that in the deck. Even Storm decks these days are often not playing the Grape Shot in the main deck. They play Wish, so that you've at least got some utility for the card in your deck that's going to win the game. Cards like this that don't do anything at all until you've done the thing are just bad. And this is a particularly bad one.
I'm so glad that I was able to get that rant out of you. We're very pro-rant on this channel.
I'm holding back as well. It was why with the Omniscience deck, I campaigned so hard for us to not be playing Founding the Third Path, because you didn't need it to win the game. Therefore, it was a useless card in the deck.
Yep.
All right, enough. I'll keep going. All right, next, I'm going to talk about Savondum Sunstar Exemplar. This is the second Savondum in the set. There's an uncommon one as well. Weird. White-black tutu, legendary human knight, has vigilance and menace. Whenever another creature you control dies or is put into exile, put a +1 counter on Savondum and you gain 1 life. When Savondum dies or is put into exile while its power is 4 or greater, destroy up to 1 target non-land permanent. One thing I'm just going to mention here is that if you put a creature from your graveyard or anywhere other than the battlefield into exile, that first ability won't trigger, because they're creature cards in other zones. So it has to go to graveyard or exile from the battlefield.
Yes.
Thoughts on this?
I want to believe that there's going to be a human or knight tribal deck that this slots into, and it becomes their strongest soldier against the mono-red matchup. I can't see that shell existing, so I can't put this up in competitive player.
Yeah.
But I mean, this feels like a much healthier version of what Ketramos was trying to be.
Boo, Ketramos is great. I'd be much more interested in this if it was if a creature enters, you get that trigger. But yeah, dies is like a hoop that you have to jump through to get like a pretty minimal upgrade. So yeah, I'm not into this.
I do like that it and its triggers all being off of exile encourage you to sort of go into the flicker space.
Oh, that's cool. Okay, that's cool. Yeah.
And this, I will say, in terms of Knight Tribal, what we do have in terms of Knight Tribal is Final Fantasy has Dion, Bahamut's Exemplar, which is the guy who, the knight who makes a knight, and then he flips himself, but he exiles when he flips himself, I believe. Yes, he does, because he's a saga, so he has to do that. Which means a creature you control is put into exile. So there is a non-zero amount of real synergy. I don't know that it's competitive is the problem.
I agree.
Because that's all happening.
And the fact that you can play this with Ketramos is interesting, but the juice just ain't worth all that squeezing in this case.
Absolutely. Where are the cards are so small now?
Too many cards in the set. All right, next up.
The same number as every other set.
Shh. This one we have words to say about. This is Dawnsire Sunstar Dreadnought. 5 mana, Darksteel Relic. legendary artifact spacecraft with station, nothing else. And then at 10 plus, whenever you attack, Dawnside deals 100 damage to up to one target creature or planeswalker. And at 20 plus, it is a 20/20 flying. I think this is my vote for the worst card in the set.
This...
This is offensively bad.
I think the fact that it costs one more mana does just edge it out over Entropic Battlecruiser for worst card in the set. I think you're correct. The thing that really gets me about this card is that it's been the poster child for spacecraft as commanders in the set.
Yes. Yeah.
And it is the perfect example of a commander that doesn't want to make use of the fact that it's a commander. It doesn't want to get recast. It's so easy to tutor up being an artifact.
Yeah.
And it's a 5 mana do nothing. Now, I will say, like, when I reviewed this card, I sat myself down and I went, say anything positive about this card.
Mm-hmm.
And I have two things. The 10 plus, Death Star Beam, when that's active, Dawnsire is not yet a creature. So it's actually more resilient to removal than even a regular creature with a whenever you attack trigger, which I appreciate very much.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that at the tables that are going to play this, that's actually going to be very relevant.
Mm-hmm.
Additionally, the second nice thing, and this is such a commander coded thing. Like we've gone from it's not making use of commander features to a commander rule that people forget exists. When this is switched on at 20 plus, it one-shots commander players. Because if it's your commander, it immediately deals 20 commander damage and they lose the game.
Yes. Yeah.
Which, out of everything on the card, I respect that. It's so bad.
It's so bad.
Like, when I read the bottom of the card and I see, this is a commander that just is a 20/20 and I can build an entire game plan around one-shotting people with this giant spacecraft, it makes me almost forget that it's a 5 mana mythic rare with no abilities.
Yep.
It's unacceptable.
Yep, I agree. This card angers and upsets me. The only positive thing I would say about it is that the 100 damage thing is really cool with the Stuffy Doll shenanigans that this set really seems to be pushing. But the Stuffy Doll deck is not going to have 10 power.
No.
To get it up to this point.
Yeah.
This is just like a walking bag of contradictions.
Yeah.
If it were me, I would have given it a static ability that says whenever you attack, Dawnsire deals damage to one target creature or planeswalker equal to 10 times the number of counters on it. And then when you turn it on, it's got Flying, Indestructible, Lifelink, and Infect. Now it feels mythic.
You had to add Infect.
Because all of that stuff that I put on the end of it doesn't change it at all.
Yeah.
Does not change the power one iota, but at least makes it
goodness.
feel cool.
Oh my goodness. If there's one thing that upsets Commander players, it's the word infect. And I just love the idea of it still being a 20/20 with infect.
Yeah.
Which it's so unnecessary.
Yeah. And lifelink as well. Like, why do you need lifelink when you just killed the
Oh my goodness. That's enough fantasizing about better versions of this card. We're so close to finished. Let's move on to something fun and enjoyable. The Dominion bracelet. What?
I think we lost connection there for a sec.
Oh.
Cool. Do you want to just segue into that again? Can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
Yep. Okay, cool. Do you want to just... Yeah, we lost connection.
He's gone again. Oh no. Oh, and he's
no.
back again.
I'm here. Yep, cool. All right, do you want to segue into Dominion Bracelet?
Yes.
Go for it.
All right, that is enough talking about this terrible card. Let's talk about something fun and enjoyable. The Dominion Bracelet. 2 mana, legendary equipment. Equip 1, equipped creature gets +1/+1. Never forget.
Woo.
And has 15. Exile the Dominion Bracelet. You control target opponent during their next turn. This ability costs X less to activate, where X is this creature's power, activate only as a sorcery. Because, I mean, can you imagine activating that at instant speed? I'm sure that would be the problematic part of this card.
I love Mindslaver effects. I love them so much. They're incredibly fun. Do I think this card is good? No.
No.
Do I wish it were really good? Also, no. We lived through Emrakul: The Promised End. So I don't think it's good, but I love it.
I've been told that in larger formats, there's a Khan that fetches artifacts from exile.
Correct. Yeah. Khan Great.
Is that a factor that terrifies you in any way?
Little bit, but not really. Khan Great Creator has had a couple of combos with it that involved artifacts that self-exile as a protection mechanism, and then you get to loop them with Khan. So the old mono green deck in Pioneer did that. And it was not the fault of the weird artifact they were selecting. It was the fault of Khan being stupid.
Yes.
And so Khan is banned in Pioneer now. It is very powerful in Modern, and I could see getting removed from that format. I don't think this card will move the needle.
That makes a lot of sense to me. What this did move the needle on for me is I've been saying a bunch that Commander needs to let people have legendary equipments as commanders, because equipment hear me out. Equipment is the only card type that is costed around being repeatedly used already. Like the actual like foundational philosophy of a commander is that if it gets removed, you can just have it. And an equipment already, if it gets knocked off of the creature it's equipping, it has a cost to put it back on. And if the equipment gets removed, like being able to then recast it is pretty much close to just how the card already existed as it was. Now, this is obviously not the context in which I was making those statements.
I love the design tech. That's very, very smart. I love that.
Casting this from the command zone would be unacceptable.
My only hope for this was that they could switch the mana cost and the equip cost so that we could tutor it with Urza Saga or Tezzeret in this set.
Oh,
that would be cool. But again, look, I love Mindslaver effects. I really do. But pushing them to the point where they're powerful and seeing a lot of play is not something that we want to encourage.
It straight up makes people quit the game.
It does. Yeah.
Yeah.
So look, I'm the most unapologetic Johnny Griefer out there, but I don't want to drive people away from our lovely game.
Absolutely.
Just the table that I'm playing on. All right, next up, we've got the Endstone, 7 mana mythic legendary artifact. Whenever you play a land or cast a spell, draw a card. At the beginning of your end step, your life total becomes half your starting life total, rounded up. That's 2 powerful lines of text.
Oh, I love it. I love Form of the Gigantosaurus.
Yeah.
Or if you play this in Commander, Form of the 60 card.
Oh yeah.
It's
so that last line might to some people look like a downside, and sometimes it is, but sometimes it's also an upside because it means they can't chip you down. They have to just deal you in regular formats 10 in a chunk, which means sweepers get a lot better because they have to commit more to the board. So that's very powerful. We don't need to talk about that first line. That's obviously nuts. This is the sort of artifact that's worth reanimating. I'm pretty sure this is why they banned Abuelo's Awakening.
I told you I will not be gaslit on my show.
Omniscience did nothing wrong. It was all because of this card. Look, I don't know. I don't know the shell that it's going to go in, but I guess the Omni deck taught us that being able to reanimate a non-creature thing has the potential to be extremely powerful if the thing gives you enough for free.
Yeah.
Now we've had artifact reanimation before. We had the refurbish Godpharaoh's Gift deck back in Hour of Devastation Standard, which was one of my favorite decks of all time. When Pioneer was first launched, Godpharaoh's Gift was the first deck that I built in brand new Pioneer. That deck was very, very fun.
Yeah.
This doesn't add board presence after you've done that, which Godpharaoh's Gift did. And I believe we do have a refurbish in Standard, a strictly better one. So there is a 4-mana reanimate an artifact card. I believe it was from Aether Drift.
Yeah.
So I think this is real. I think this could get there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do like the play pattern that this creates, where if you turbo this out and can't make use of it, setting your life total to 10 on turn 4 is a very achievable target for an aggro deck. And I feel like if you turn 4, set your life total to 10, and an aggro deck can't then deal 10 to you, it's then totally fair for you to next turn combo off and end the game. Because like you've straight up given your opponent, you've said, hey, here's your one shot to do the thing that your deck is built to do, and if you fail, I'm going to kill you. And like, in my mind, that's what a combo deck should be doing. It should be in that moment of like, both players should be able to identify the moment before the combo deck's about to go off, and so you have that moment of, I have to make a big gamble right now. Either it's the player who's trying to take down the combo deck is like, I have to try and kill you before the combo deck goes off, or the combo deck is looking down the barrel of lethal and has to go for a lower probability line to try and get the combo off. I think aiming for that moment is ideal combo design, and I think Endstone absolutely brings us to that off of a second half that looks at first glance like it's protecting you when it's not.
Yeah. Look, as much as I want to play the heal and say, no, stop putting downsides on my combo deck. Yeah, you're right. There's some other cool things you can do with that end step trigger, because if your life total is lower than 10, then your life total becomes 10. That counts as gaining life. So if you've got things that trigger off either life gain or the amount of life that you gained, you can get some cool tricks with that. So there's a bunch of different cool combo things you can do here. Now that I've listened to you and you've mentioned mono red again and made me sad, that makes me start to think that this is probably going to be one that I hope is good rather than one that is. But if you want to push it up a tier, I could get behind it.
I'm willing to put it in competitive player, because like I think it at minimum it goes into I want to live, because obviously we both want to live there. I agree. I think it is going to be real. I think animating an artifact is famously much easier than animating an enchantment. Yep. And yeah, that first line of text is absolutely game breaking.
Yep. Agreed. Powerful one. All right. We're nearing the end, Stone. All right. Next up, we have the Eternity Elevator. 5 mana for a legendary artifact spacecraft. It inherently has tap, add triple colorless, has station, and then when you get to 20 plus, you can add X mana of any one color, where X is the number of charge counters on the Eternity Elevator. Is colorless Gilded Lotus doing anything?
Okay. No.
Correct.
Like, let's be real. I want to say that, there's a world where I like it, but like, we have What's it called? The Hedron thing, the 4 mana that taps to add 2 colorless in standard. That's what the deck that would play the Eternity Elevator is going to play over the Eternity Elevator. I mean, if you're playing a commander deck where you can only play singletons, you're going to love to play the Eternity Elevator. It's another source of more colorless mana. It's specifically colorless mana to play your Kozilek off of. I have so many problems with the station of this card just because it is like the Dawnsire with the proposed idea that you had where it scales with the number of counters on it. The idea that this scales with the number of counters, but it starts at 20 is so ridiculous.
Agreed.
All of the interesting play patterns of this card are in pumping power into it and then tapping for more than 3, or tapping for 5, tapping for 7. If we made it that it always was turned on, or it was turned on at 5+, and then it was 2 and tap, and then add X mana of any one color where X is the number of charge counters on the Eternity Elevator, that would be a card that I'm like, okay, now we're getting into there's a smaller amount of resources that we're putting into this, but we're finding a window where if we put in just enough resources, it starts to break positive and we actually get an efficient card out of it. As it is, it's behind a 20 power gate. When are you ever going to have that?
Yeah, I completely agree. If you had a turn on at 8+, then now my mind's ticking. I'm like, okay, how can I get 8 power worth of stuff on there, and then how can I find ways that I can continually untap it and then play another creature to station it a little bit more, and then try to build an engine that way, which I feel like is how you are supposed to think about a 5 mana artifact that does nothing on its own.
Yep.
Or very little on its own in this case.
Yep.
Whereas this is my mind's just not even going to get going. It's just a silly way of, I don't know. Yeah, I'm sure that the numbers on here are a little bit awkward because the numbers you can get to in 60 card constructed versus commander are quite different, and this might just go ballistic in commander at 8+. I don't know, but in a regular format, this is just a bit of a joke.
I think this
is a shame because it's a really cool idea.
I think this is a great example of design leaning on the cool factor of making an absolute tower of mana, a giant soup of thousands, millions of mana or whatever like that. When it's it's so hard for players to understand, to really internalize that it's bad if a card does too much damage, because then the card will be costed for doing all of that extra damage, as opposed to just doing enough and then having a lower cost to go with that. That's a better card, is a card that does what you need it to do and costs as little as possible. This generating 20+ mana, there's no situation, realistically, where you have 20 mana to spend where 10 mana wouldn't have been fine.
Yeah. That's it. And you generally want lots of mana before you've got 20 power on the board. I understand you don't need it all at once, but that's not the sequence that the game takes. After you've already assembled that much power and that much time, then mana is not the gate anymore. This is upsetting. I want to talk about a different card.
All right. Oh, yes!
Now, this is worth talking about.
Yes.
Let's talk about Extinguisher Battleship, which seems to be a Sentinel Beam from Halo, by the looks of it.
I was thinking that it looks like a 40k card.
It probably does that as well. 8 mana. It is an artifact spacecraft. When it enters, destroy target non-creature permanent. Lands are non-creature permanents.
Yes.
Then this spacecraft deals 4 damage to each creature. It has station, and when you get to just 5+, it is a 10/10 Flying Trample. Quick rules note on this one. You can only station as a sorcery, even if it's your turn. So if you put that 4 damage to each creature trigger on the stack, you can't is powerful. This is worth going for.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I don't know that this is gonna see like 60 card competitive play, but I would love to have this in my commander deck. I feel like this is a ton of fun. And just, it's so refreshing to see a card with a station number lower than its mana value.
Yeah, or at least in single digits.
Yep, absolutely.
How about lower than my starting life total?
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. I'm actually going to talk this up in 60 card constructed, right? Because if we compare this to the Endstone, if we're talking about an artifact reanimator deck,
Ooh, okay.
Endstone doesn't do anything until the next turn, but is potentially very powerful, and then makes it easier for the opponent to kill you.
Yep.
Before you can get to that point. This, when you reanimate it, takes out the biggest problem on the board and then wipes the rest of it.
I do love that.
That's awesome. And can I tell you what I really want to do with this? Because it's not tap 5 power worth of stuff to get a 10/10 flying trample.
What do you want to do with this?
I want to flicker it.
Yes!
I'm going to play this. We're going to wipe our opponent's board. And because they don't have anything with more than 4 toughness, we're also going to pick off one of their lands. This is happening on turn 4.
Yep.
So now they've only got 3 lands. Then the next turn, I'm going to flicker this twice and lock them out of the game.
Oh!
And that's potentially quite real as well. There's some historical pedigree here with Spine of Ishtar. It's an older card, but it was 7 mana for an artifact that just when it enters destroys target permanent. That was basically all it did. And that did see play in some combo decks that could play it multiple times.
Yeah.
Which is the kind of quote-unquote win condition that I'm interested in, right? Because it's something that you can run out to help keep you alive, to take out a problematic card that the opponent's got.
Yep.
And then once you've got your combo going, it destroys everything that they've got forever, and there's nothing they can do about it.
I do love that.
So... But there's a bunch of work you got to do for that, right? It's a reanimator type strategy, and then you've got to have flicker cards as well. But we've got those tools in standard.
Yep.
And this looks worth building towards. And then it itself can be a win condition as well by just attacking them, which is kind of boring, but I guess we can do that as well. Yeah.
How dare you imply I turn my cards sideways?
That's not what I'm interested in. This has all the bits and pieces that I'm quite interested in. Even some of the like the dude we looked at before that was like the Perforos that can give your artifacts warp.
Oh, hey, yes.
This is one that's worth warping in.
Yeah, that's true.
I still don't think that's a bumps Tannic up much, but
no.
This is the sort of effect that's worth taking the time and resources to get online.
All right. Tell me, because we've got it in tier 3.
Mm-hmm.
Do you believe that there's enough of a shell that it's just a straight up competitive player?
I think so. Yeah.
That's very confident, and I'm more than willing to go along with that.
I think this is certainly better than the Endstone.
Ooh.
Endstone reads much more explosively, but in practice for how a game actually plays out, this one looks more practically powerful.
Oh my goodness. I forgot to put this in the bin.
You were trying to find a lower tier that we can jump All right.
We have one artifact left before we get into our lands.
All right. I'll finish off the artifacts and you can take us through the lands. We have Thrumming Hive Pool. Is a 6 mana artifact with affinity for slivers. Slivers you control have double strike and haste. And at the beginning of your upkeep, create 2 1/1 colorless sliver creature tokens. This was spoiled reasonably early, and I thought was going to mean we were going to get a bunch of alien slivers in the set, but there aren't any, right?
You and everyone else. This was a giant fake out, and it was, according to Wizards, an intentional fake out, just like Antausal Vestage being the only Eldrazi card in the set. They intentionally went, here's one of these crazy, weird alien things.
Yeah.
And it's like, I get what you're doing, but can you imagine being a player who doesn't know the set super well, sitting down for a draft and pack one, pick one, this is in your
yes.
This is your rare, and you think to yourself, oh my god, this has got to be the best card for whatever Sliver tribal deck exists in this set.
I couldn't agree with you more. Yep.
I'm so upset. Like, obviously, this is a card that just, like, it goes in Commander. The Commander Sliver decks love this. It's great. Yep. Sure, whatever. I'm upset at this card spiritually.
I'm totally with you. Yeah, obviously, I'm mainly a drafter, and I draft a lot of different sets, like when we get random remastered sets or whatever, and I'm not super familiar with them. And so, yeah, when you sit down and you look at a signpost kind of card, you really do put a bunch of trust in the designers to say, oh, you've put this in here, there must be a deck for it.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's really obnoxious. And this would have been a great home for Slivers.
Yeah.
Give us a cool Slivers deck for Limited. Constructed players enjoy their Slivers decks as well. And the Alien set? What a missed opportunity.
Yeah, it really is. This feels less like throwing food to the starving masses, and more like the people who want Slivers are being taunted. Like, this is, we know that you want Slivers. We're not printing Slivers as a tribe in Standard. We keep telling you this, and we're not going to do it. And you're not getting the message. So here, we're going to print a Sliver tribal card and no Slivers with it. Like, that's rude. So rude.
Feels like the poster child for should have been in the Commander set.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right.
Antausal Vestige I have less of an issue with, because just one lonely Eldrazi roaming the universe. Okay, I can get behind that.
Yes. Also, the card works by itself.
Correct. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, lame. All right, take us through the lands.
All right. First one, Adagia, Windswept Bastion. A planet land, enters tapped, taps for white, station, 12+. It has 3 and a white and tap. Create a token that's a copy of target artifact or enchantment you control, except it is legendary. Activate only as a sorcery.
Do you have anything in mind for how to use this?
I had to sit myself down after the Final Fantasy lands and think to myself, why are lands being printed that are single color and are entering tapped? And my running thesis now is that entering the battlefield untapped is being treated as an upside. Mm-hmm. And as upsetting as that is, I have to just accept that it's real and go, okay, this is a white land, and what do I get as an upside? I have to spend a bunch of power, which is annoying. But creating a token, I can see a world where this goes into your white Elspeth Caretaker's Talent decks.
Oh, that's cool.
It's not like it's a situation where this is not a card that is defining the deck. You know, we're certainly not playing 4 of this land.
No.
But I could there's absolutely no reason not to include this in your white control deck if you have any sort of artifacts or enchantments that are generating value.
You're mentioning Caretaker's Talent. That one's actually quite interesting, because creating tokens of Caretaker's Talent is a crazy thing to do. And that deck already produces just a bunch of like extraneous bunnies or whatever that you can just like toss a few power into this over the course of the game.
Yeah.
I kind of like that. Yeah, it's not going to break the deck. It's not going to do anything really insane, but it's worth having a single tapped land in your deck for. Maybe 2.
Yeah.
I don't mind that. It's only occurred to me because we talked about it just a moment ago that, hey, you can play your battle cruiser, I forgot the name of it already, the Extinguisher Battleship, sink 5 mana into it to turn it into a 10/10, sink that into Adagia, and then you only need another 2 counters on the Adagia already, then use the Adagia to copy the battleship every single turn.
Oh, that's terrible. Well, yeah. Now we're seeing why it makes the tokens legendary.
Which doesn't matter, because if you can board wipe and stone rain them every single turn, it doesn't matter if the thing is sticking around or not.
This line that you have identified is incredibly important for the control mirror match, wherein you will race to perform this loop so that you can extinguish a battleship to destroy your opponent's Adagia, and they cannot do it to you.
Yep.
Devastating. I'm putting it in competitive player because that feels reasonable.
And I was lower on that until I got to that point. But yeah, hey, if we're playing, reanimate a deck that's going to be white anyway to bring back the battleship.
Yep.
Then Adagia, hey, I'm okay playing 4 tap lands in that context. That sounds totally okay to me.
4 of them is so many.
I mean, maybe I'm exaggerating there, but the fact that this could also copy Artifact Temporary Lockdown.
Oh,
so like, if you can get this turned
rude.
on, if you can get this turned on, there's a lot of good things to do with it, actually. So the question is, can your control-y sort of deck have some power lying around to actually make any of this happen? I don't know. That's the question that we're going to have to solve. But
I mean,
that payoff is game winning on its own.
Yeah.
So
Fountain Port, it remains in the set, not in the set, in standard, and is always going to be an incredibly good source of 1/1 tokens, having outmoded Mirax long ago.
Yeah. Which we talked about in the last video that we did, whenever that was.
Yep.
But yeah, creatures like Beza that are just great to run anyway.
Yeah.
And can just sink chunks of power into it.
Yeah.
I could see it happening. It is a hurdle. Don't get me wrong, but that payoff that we just described is that's worth building towards.
Yeah. All right. Breeding pool. Right, because they're alphabetical.
Cool.
Shocklands. Shocklands
we
in
don't need to
standard.
talk about these.
No.
Yep, they're great.
They're great. I'm just going to chuck them down here for no particular reason. Where's the other one? Here it is.
Michael says that Shocklands actively make your deck worse. I'm putting that headline on Twitter right now. I'm going to get the mob after you.
Oh my god, fine.
I'm kidding. Do not. Let's not waste time. Okay. While Michael fiddles around with Shocklands.
Evendo Waking Haven. This one's much less good than the last station land. So this is the green one. Enters tapped. Tap add green. 12 plus. Green tap. Add green for each creature you control. Now, my immediate thought on this is that much like the Space Elevator, this is adding tons and tons of mana when actually the power of the effect that you want is when you're just adding 3 or 4.
I'm going to push back.
Oh.
Because this is the one of this cycle that wants you to have creatures in play. So it's already incentivizing you to do the thing that turns it on.
Yep. Okay.
Where has this Gaia's Cradle sort of effect been powerful before? It's in like Elf Ball style decks most of all.
Yep.
And those Elf Ball style decks are really good at making a really big, both good at making a wide board and then pumping up that wide board and untapping stuff. They're really good at untapping all the random elves, and they're good at untapping lands, which is where Gaia's Cradle gets really out of control. This is already, it's like pushing you in the right direction already, whereas a lot of these big station cards don't want you to have lots of creatures with high power. They're pushing in opposite directions. This one is like all pointing in the same direction. We've had effects like this before that have been incredibly powerful. Growing Rights of Itlamok has seen constructed play, and that's another one that says put a lot of work into this and it'll give you a Gaia's Cradle. And this is a land. It's not even taking a spell slot. I think this is possibly the best of the cycle.
That's the awful thing here is, like, I have my opinions. I do inherently trust you so much that I'm doubting everything that I've thought about myself. Because like I've been playing elves in standard with 3 Tree City, and my experience of just trying to get to that stage where I have 3 elves, so 3 Tree City is breaking even, has been so difficult that that it's because there's so much tension in the actual deck between wanting to like really aggressively ramp out creatures and get out your Craterhoof Behemoth because and I think this might be a standard thing. I think the problem is they don't have a good like infinite loop to pour tons and tons and tons of mana into. It is a case of like what you're really doing is you're using the fact that elves make more elves to get to 8 mana really fast. And then once you get to 8 mana, you end the game as fast as possible. You don't want to be getting yourself to 16, 24 mana, because if you're every resource that you spend further accelerating yourself is a resource you're not spending on punching through and actually ending the game, which will then give your opponent time to untap and blow you out entirely. And I really feel like this land really struggles with that idea of it looks great to have a bunch of creatures and then generate a bunch of mana, but because it doesn't do anything until you have put a full 12 into it, that's a problem. Like, I won't deny the upside when you get it turned on is super large, but part of like getting good at Magic is understanding that like sometimes you want to play the 2/2 with kicker as just a vanilla 2/2. And I think the fact that this doesn't have any small or medium modes really hampers the card and really stops it from being playable.
Yeah, I could definitely see it not quite getting there in Standard just because that card pool doesn't have enough to turn this into an engine and will turn the deck into an engine. So I could definitely see that. But I think in the Heritage Druid style elf decks in older formats, I think this could get there. Because, yeah, obviously no one's going to argue about the power level of Gaia's Cradle. What I like about this one is that the kind of deck it wants to slot into is one that's already well suited to get it to that point, unlike most of the others.
Yeah.
So, I'd toss this in constructed player or competitive player.
Yeah, I feel strongly, but not strongly enough to like just dig in my heels that badly.
Yeah, I think if we were talking just about Standard, I would have bumped it down.
Yeah.
But for the older formats, I would.
I mean, that's
keep it up.
That's why we bring you on.
All right. What do we got next?
Caveron Memorial World. The world so rich in minerals that they strip mined the entire back half of it. Red one enters tapped. 1 and a red tap, sacrifice a land, create a 2/2 colorless robot creature token. Then creatures you control get +1/+0 and gain haste until end of turn. My take on this card is that it exists for decks like Pinnacle Emissary, where it's in there just for you to pump some small portion of your infinite creatures into stationing it, and then it's a land that gives you a Flaming Zealot effect, which allows you to Alpha Strike your opponent with haste and kill them on the turn that you've comboed off.
That was my kind of thinking as well, is that, I think the only good use for it is, if you've gone infinite somehow and made infinite creatures, then you pump 12 of them into this and then use the card itself to give them all haste. I don't think there's a fair use for this in any real world.
No, absolutely not. Yeah. My question is just, where do we put it on the tier? Do we want to live in a world where where there's a competitive list that this has a home in? I don't
mind that idea. Like, it's just like having a win condition for a combo deck sitting in your land slot, I think is totally fine. But it's not like something I'm hankering for.
Yeah.
So, it might be a fringe. It might be a fringe constructed player. I'll just toss it in tier 3 because that seems to be.
I guess I would be fine if I lived in the world where this tier was competitive. All right, moving on. Secluded Starforge. Oh, you're still there?
Yeah, I am.
Okay,
You got
cool.
me?
Yep.
Yep.
Secluded Starforge. Not a station land, a colorless land. Tap, add colorless, and then 2 tap X untapped artifacts you control. Target creature gets +X/+0 until end of turn, activate only as a sorcery. And 5 tap, create a 2/2 colorless robot artifact creature. Sam, where does this sit in the pantheon of control lands that just slowly pump out endgame creatures?
So far below Fountain Port that it's turned invisible.
Oh, devastating.
Which is sad, because I was playing Standard when... was it Urza's Factory?
Oh, yes.
Was the thing. That was a land that tapped for colorless and had 7 tap, make a 2/2. And that saw constructed play in the control decks. So we've come a long way since then. I think if Fountain Port didn't exist, this could absolutely get there.
Yeah.
But as long as Fountain Port and even Mirrex are around.
Well, I
Actually,
mean,
Mirrex is rotating.
Mirrex is rotating,
As long as Fountain Port's around, this won't be best in class.
Yeah, absolutely. But we would be happy for it to be so.
If it gave the creature haste with that first ability, I'd be more interested.
Oh, that'd be fun.
And say that X can't be 0.
Yeah, that's fair. All right. Second to last card, Susua Secundi, Void Altar. This is our black station land. 12+, it gains 1 and a black tap, pay 2 life, sacrifice a creature, draw cards equal to the sacrifice creature's power, activate only as a sorcery. This feels like it's not going to find a home anywhere outside of Commander decks to me.
I agree. Yep, I agree. That ability is not worth building towards. Like, if you sink a huge amount of resources into getting there, then it still costs you a bunch of resources to do the thing.
Yeah.
In that it costs a bunch of mana, so it's harder to use all the cards that you just drew.
Yep.
It costs you life, so you're going to lose faster and you lose board presence. I'm not saying that's not a powerful ability, just that it's not worth how difficult it is to get it online.
Yeah, it's very much a situation of that chunk of text is fairly costed and doesn't take into account the fact that there's a 12 next to it.
Yep.
Like,
yeah. I mean, yeah, I agree.
Yeah, it's wild that that this is meant to be equivalent to Agaea's Cradle.
Yeah, I'm blanking on the name, but this text was on an older card.
Yeah.
And so I think they're all except the red one are callbacks to older lands.
I mean, of course.
Someone can correct me if I'm wrong on that red one.
Anyway, speaking of
like that, yeah.
Speaking of callbacks to older lands, Uthros, Titanic God Core, the blue one, 12+, blue tap, add blue for each artifact you control. Sam, is this incredibly broken? Is it going to break the format and get banned forever?
No. And this is kind of what I was getting at with the green one. I think, speaking very broadly, Tolarian Academy is a more powerful card than Gaia's Cradle.
Mm-hmm.
But the Gaia's Cradle land is at least pushing you in the right direction, whereas this Tolarian Academy, which wants lots of artifacts, also somehow needs lots of creatures.
Yes.
To make the thing happen. So I guess there's like maybe a simulacrum synthesizer kind of idea you could do here, but then what are you doing with all that mana?
Yep.
The existence of synthesizer is probably the only thing that is giving me pause on this. This is not going to break all the formats. It's just, I don't think that's where it's going to go, but maybe in standard with a synthesizer deck.
Yeah. My concern with this card is that I struggle to even put it up in I want to live in the world where this tier is competitive. I really do think that it happens to have a place in a pet deck, and that sounds the most like Commander to me, than I've ever described any deck ever.
I would love it if we could play with the Tolarian Academy in standard. That sounds fun.
Oh, there's such fondness, and we don't have one of these in this tier, so we'll put it there. Okay. All right, there we go. We're done. Right. 80 cards, and it only took us 3.5 hours.
You'll edit this down to an hour and a half. That's fine.
Surely.
Do you want to pick your favorite? What's your number one card for the set?
Oh, it's Hard Light Containment.
Okay.
Zero hesitation. I've been championing this card since I saw it. Absolutely.
Yeah, cool.
What about you? What's your single favorite card?
Well, I don't know about favorite, but I think the most powerful is the. Sorry, I can't read the card name, but this guy, the Inquisitor.
Yeah, Lightstall Inquisitor.
I think this is the one we're going to see the most of. And I'm already sick of it, and I've never had it played against me yet. My personal favorite, though, is the green one, just 2 to the right of it. I'm going to have so much fun with this card. This is going to do cool things.
All
right, very good. Thank you so much for having me on. I love talking about getting a chance to talk about Constructed, which we don't get to do super much on the Draft Punks. But we do Constructed videos, and we do Draft videos. If anyone wants to come join us over there, we'd love to have you. So yeah, thank you so much, Michael, for having me for this one.
Thank you so much for coming on. And of course, anyone who watches, please absolutely check out Sam's channel. It's fantastic, and it's probably the main reason that I'm making content. If you want to like and subscribe to both of us, I make a short for every single one of these things if you want to hear me talk about them more. And if that's all that you want to see of either of us, I hope you have a nice day.
Go subscribe to Michael. All the stuff he does is really good. So go enjoy his shorts, and don't put Darksteel relics in your deck.
All right, thank you very much, Sam. We're done. Wait.
Beautiful.
Give me another clap.
Oh, yeah, sure.
3, 2, 1.